Join me, give your attendance, join me, give your attendance, on stage of Massachusetts. This court is now open. You may be seated.
All right, good morning again, Council. Good morning, Ms. Reed. Good morning, jurors. Good morning. We appreciate you being prompt and ready to go this morning. There was something I needed to discuss with the lawyers to help streamline the evidence that will be presented to you today. So I appreciate your patience. I do have to ask you those questions. Were you all able to follow my instructions and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we left yesterday? Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Were you also able to follow my instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case? Everyone said yes or affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left yesterday? No. Everyone said no or shook their heads. Thank you very much. Could we have Ms. McCabe back, please?
Good morning, follow me, please.
Mr. Kidd, I'll remind you, you're still under oath. Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. McCabe. Good morning.
Good morning, Salty.
Good morning. Thank you for backing us up.
Before you take us back to Fairview,
Don't even say it, Joe.
a couple of questions about John's house at Meadows. Are you familiar with his house?
Yes.
And have you seen the front of his house before?
Yes, I have.
Are you familiar with his driveway?
Yes.
Are you familiar with whether there's any surveillance system at Mr. O'Keefe's house?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Ms. McCabe, I'm showing you what has been previously marked as Exhibit 6. Do you recognize that photo?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
That's John O'Keefe's house.
Could we provide Exhibit 6 to the jury, please? On that screen, is that Mr. O'Keefe's home?
Yes.
Show me what's been marked as Exhibit 8. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is it?
That is the side of Mr. O'Keefe's house, the two garage doors.
Is there any indication of surveillance?
Is this a ring camera right here? Looks.
Is that what John O'Keefe's side of his house looks like?
Yes.
I want to show you Exhibit 10. Do you recognize what's in that photo?
Yes.
What is it?
It is the driveway at John O'Keefe's.
See a car to the left?
Yes.
Do you know whose car that is?
Yes, that's Miss Reed's.
Is that where you left it the night before? Those early morning hours when you drove to Mr. O'Keefe's house?
Yes.
I want to show you it's been marked as Exhibit 11. Do you recognize what's in that photo?
Yes, Miss Reed's vehicle.
Is that the vehicle that Ms. Reed showed you with the broken missing taillight that morning?
Yes, it is.
You mentioned earlier in the night you spoke to John O'Keefe when you called him or he called you about directions to Fairview Road.
Yes.
And you also shared that you had a phone conversation offering directions.
Yes, I did.
Did you tell John that the house at Fairview was near Bella's mom's house?
Objection.
Sustained as to form, Mr. Brennan.
Okay. What did you tell John as far as directions to Fairview? How did you mark it for him?
I told him to go by, past Bella's house, the Bella's Street, and then to follow it down to the end.
Now I want you to take us back where we were yesterday when we left off. You had brought us to Fairview Road. you had found John.
Yes,
You shared with us that you were trying chest compressions. Before the chest compressions, did you make a phone call?
I called 911.
I'd like to move to introduce a copy of that 911 call.
Okay. Do you have something physically to, thank you,
Ms. McLaughlin does.
thank you.
With,
Thank you.
with the court's permission, I'd like to play Exhibit 45.
Yes.
No, this is for what was
Yes, I'm someone from the third floor, third floor view road, we can't have the video passed out in the snow.
You can't pull up, because you can't do it, you can't do it, okay?
Yeah, I don't know why I did that.
You have to tell us, let's get on.
I'm 15 days, like, you know, that area in 15, okay?
I'm trying to tell on, because it's.
Okay. I know. I don't think like the parents.
911, what's your emergency?
Immediately to third floor view road, can't get now.
What's going on?
There's a guy unresponsive in the snow.
Is it snow, 34?
Yes, third floor, the Albert resident, yes, I just pulled up behind it.
Okay, 34 Fairview?
Third floor view, can't now, yes.
911, that's under order, where's your emergency? Hello?
Yes, I'm sorry, can you come to 34 Fairview Road in Kingston?
34 Fairview?
Yes, there's a man unresponsive in the snow.
Okay, and what else?
He's gonna get here, okay?
Okay, what's going on, is he face down?
We just switched him over.
Okay. And who's that in the background, is that someone related?
That's his girlfriend, his name is John Creed.
Okay, how old is he?
John is 46 years old.
46, how long has he been outside?
I don't know. I don't know. He got out of the car and it could have been a couple of hours. Is he Carrie? Is he? I don't. I don't know if he's women. There are two women trying to. It's in this party and they're hysterical.
Okay, can you just try asking? I know it's tough, but we gotta get the fire department going, they just gotta know.
Okay. Is he breathing? It doesn't seem to be breathing.
Okay, do they know how to do CPR, do they wanna attempt CPR?
Yes, he's got to do CPR. No, I guess he's gone.
Okay, they don't feel comfortable doing so?
No, I think he's passed away.
Okay. Alright, we have the fire department and the police department on the way, if everyone's declining CPR, then I'll hang up with you, and, if anything changes, you can give us a call back. Where are you guys outside?
I'm afraid I'll try to see her. I know, I'm on the phone with the Andrews. I know. So, Carrie, you gotta get off of me. Carrie, you gotta get off of him.
You know if there's any, alcohol or drugs involved?
He has been out.
They've been out drinking?
Yes, like I'm talking hours about maybe, and I don't know how long he's been in the snow.
Okay, is there any bleeding or anything, maybe in his head out?
Yes, possibly, I think he's bleeding in the face.
Okay, bleeding from the face, alright.
Yeah.
And how big's the pool of blood, if there is any?
Something's coming out the nose, and one of the women is doing CPR.
Okay, one of them is doing CPR?
Yes, they're both working on him.
Alright, if you want CPR, and just let me, just give us a call back, if you tell us response, all right, but we're on the way.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. McCabe, describe your mental state when you were speaking to 911.
I guess the best way to describe it was I was in shock. My heart was racing. I was trying to be as helpful as I could and get the information to the most important information out as quick as I could to the 911 operators. But also the scene there with Karen and Kerry was a bit chaotic between the two of them. So I was just trying my best to be as calm as I could, to get help there as fast as I could, and to answer their questions the best that I could.
Before you told the 911 operator John O'Keefe's name and his age, you said there's a man in the snow. Do you know why you chose those words?
I think I just wanted to get out the most specific details. So a man in the snow versus, John O'Keefe and into a story. I think I just was get the details to them as fast as possible, to get help there to him as fast as possible.
When you told the 911 operator that your friend John O'Keefe was the person lying in the snow, how did you know his age?
We used to joke because he was a couple months older than me. So I would, say, oh, well, you're older than me. It was a silly little thing between friends.
When you called the 911 operator, had Kerry and the defendant already been around or near John?
Yes.
Do you know if they had begun trying CPR before you called 911?
I'm not sure if they had, because Karen had straddled him and was lifted her shirt, was warming him up, and then Kerry was yelling at her to get off. And I think when Kerry got the blankets and was trying to put him under John, I think as she started to move him and wipe him, blood started to come out. And then Karen was afraid that he was going to choke on his blood and wanted to move him on his side. But then Kerry was yelling at her, we can't move him. And this was kind of all going on while I was talking to 911.
You described what you saw, and you said at some point he was bleeding from the face area. Was that before or after he was moved?
After.
Before he was moved, did you see any active bleeding?
No.
After you called 911, what do you do next?
I think I called my sister and she didn't answer. And then as I think I called her as I was walking over to John and she didn't answer. And then I immediately got down on the ground and Kerry Roberts asked me to take over.
How long did you try to help John for?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
How long were you and the defendant and Miss Roberts there before someone else arrived?
Police officer was the first to arrive. In the moments, it seemed like a long time, but I think it was fairly quick that they arrived.
Any point during the time when you tried to help Mr. O'Keefe and the first police officer arrived, at any point did you see any signs of life from Mr. O'Keefe?
No.
When the police officer first arrived, do you remember what happened next?
I remember it was very chaotic, but there was talk about a spotlight. And I remember, I think I got up and ran to kind of wave the, to get the police officer's attention so he could see where we were.
And then what happened?
The police officer, not sure specific, I do remember him asking about John. I think he said, is he a drug user? He was just asking some basic questions.
And what's the environment? What's going on around you?
Karen's just running around crazy, like just yelling, screaming, kind of like a ping pong.
What are you trying to do?
I was just trying to talk to the officer. I guess I just went into this like type of mode of, all right, I have to just talk to him, get the information out, figure out like how we can best help John and like what happened to him and try to save him ultimately.
And what happens next?
More officers begin to come, fire and EMT. So the scene becomes active with a lot of different presence. John, I think they lift John onto a board at one point. The officers are asking us questions. Karen's kind of coming over, talking to the questions, and then kind of just running away. And then she just runs back over. She's doing a lot of screaming, a lot of repetitive, is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead? Could I have hit him? Did I hit him? Kerry, I think, Kerry's off kind of making phone calls, I believe, to John's family.
Do you know what time the first responders lifted John from the ground and put him on that bed?
I don't know a time, but it was
Okay, that's the only question.
okay.
You heard your 911 call. Do you know the time of that 911 call?
Not off the top of my head, no.
At some point, did you talk to a number of different people at the scene?
Yes.
And who were you talking to?
The first officer was Officer Saraf. I know I spoke with him. I spoke with an Officer Lank, an Officer Good. There were other officers, I don't remember their names. There were EMTs, I don't remember their names either.
You have lived in this area for a long time?
Yes.
You're active in the community?
Yes.
Did you know Sergeant Good from before that night?
I knew of him. I didn't know him personally.
Did you know Detective Lank?
Yes, I knew him.
How did you know him?
We were friendly.
Your children ever associate with each other?
Not until recently.
After you had a chance to speak to some of the officers, did you move around at all yourself?
Yes, I the officers would talk to us here and then a little bit over to the side. I tried to comfort Miss Reed. At one point, Miss Reed was very upset. And one of the officers thought it would be best if maybe she went and just sat in one of the cruisers for a little bit because she was just doing a lot of screaming and yelling. And I think they were just trying to, get, work on John and make the scene a little less chaotic. So I went into the back of the car with her, and Kerry Roberts came over. And then we all were just sat in the back of Karen and I kind of were scrunched and sitting in the back, and Kerry was at the door of the cruiser.
Why did you get in the car with the defendant?
She was crying. She asked me to get in. We held hands. We prayed. She did have blood on her hands, and she said, could I have gotten my period? Who's going to take care of the kids? She just kind of was all over the place. And then at one point, we saw them moving John towards the ambulance. And at that point, Miss Reed started yelling to Miss Roberts, go check on him. Are they working on him? Is he dead? Is he dead? And at that point, myself and Miss Reed got out of the car, and she started yelling and pulling on me to Google hypothermia and Google how long it takes for somebody, to die in the cold.
When the defendant first asked you to Google an inquiry about hypothermia, were you still inside the police cruiser or were you outside?
Outside.
What was the weather? I know it's an obvious question, but how cold was it?
It was very cold, windy. The snow was blowing. As I stated, I have multiple sclerosis. So when I'm out in either extremely hot or cold temperatures, I lose the feeling and sensation in my fingers, which obviously made the Googling very hard for me to do because of my, motor skills.
So when you were outside of the car with the defendant and she had asked you to do a search regarding hypothermia, did you try to do that?
Yes, I did.
Do you know the exact time from your memory? Not from reading or learning, but from your memory. Do you remember the exact time you did that?
No.
Was it after the police came that morning?
Yes.
Had you ever attempted to search about hypothermia any time before that moment, that morning?
No.
or that day,
No,
that week,
no.
was this the first time that morning after the defendant asked you to search that you searched that phrase?
Yes, it was.
And did you complete your search and get a result?
So I don't know what came up because I think as I entered it, I think I misspelled things. And so then I think I tried a second search. And again, I don't think I even paid attention to what came up because we were already on to the next thing. Karen was already moving and screaming about, the next thing to Kerry. Are they working on him? Is he dead?
Did the defendant move somewhere from the point when she first asked you to try to Google about hypothermia to something else?
She was next to me and then I think she took off. Like she kept kind of running off.
And what did you do?
I believe as they were I think I stood there, I believe as they were putting John into the ambulance, I went back kind of to the original spot where we had been talking to the police. And at that point, a new officer might have come because I remember talking to multiple officers there.
At some point, did you go back towards the area of Ms. Roberts' car?
Yes, that's where I'm referring to. Sorry.
At some point, were you with the defendant when she spoke to an officer and a first responder?
Yes.
Do you remember if the first responder was a man or a woman?
I remember there was a woman right next to us. Yes.
Do you remember if that was before or after the defendant asked you to search about hypothermia?
I'd be guessing if I then don't.
Don't guess.
Mm-hmm.
When the defendant was speaking to the first responder, the woman, were you near?
Yes.
Did you hear or do you remember the defendant saying anything to the first responder?
Yes.
What did she say?
She told the first responder, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
When she told the first responder, I hit him, how did you react?
I was like startled, kind of like, what are you saying? What are you talking about?
Did you say anything to the defendant?
I think after the second or third time she was saying it, I was like, Karen, like, what are you saying?
Why were you trying to interrupt her?
Because I thought she was just talking crazy. And I'm saying, why is she saying she hit him?
Were you trying to look out for her?
Yeah.
Sustain. I'll strike it. You can ask it differently.
What was your motivation for trying to interrupt the defendant making the statements to the first responder?
Karen was hysterical, irrational, kind of.
I'll move on.
Oh, okay. I'm going to see counsel at sidebar for just a minute, please.
We have our first sidebar. Look, Joe's like, I'm muting out during the whole entire thing. Sidebar or not. We've lost him.
Sidebar. I get to talk now.
I was getting worried for a second. Did Lori portal you
Did
on
I
over?
hear her correctly say we turned him over? So was he laying face down in the snow?
No,
And then
he
they
was on
turned
his
him over
back.
to do CPR? I
His
thought I
partner.
heard her say that like back in the beginning of this
Well,
testimony.
she said that when Carrie went to wiping, everything off, the snow off and different things, at some point, blood began to come out.
Salty, I
And
can't,
Karen
hold on.
was
I
afraid
can't
he
hear
would
you
jump.
for some reason, Salty. Hold on.
Oh,
Why can't I hear you?
do I need to go out and come back in?
The audio should be coming through my PC. Oh, we're back. Never mind.
Okay.
I'm done talking. I see your little audio thing going, Salty, but I can't hear you.
I'm going to leave and come back.
Yeah. After you made the search at the defendant's request for an inquiry regarding hypothermia, did you have a chance to speak to the officers further?
Yes.
Did they ask you to do anything or go anywhere?
Yes. Officer Lank asked me to go into my sister's house and to wake them up.
And your sister's name again?
My sister, Nicole.
And that is the house you were in the night before.
Yes.
And after you spoke to the officer, they requested you go in to speak to your sister, did you?
Yes.
Was there any directive on what you should speak to your sister about?
No.
After the officers asked you to go into the house, did you?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember what door you went through?
Yes, I went through the front door.
Was the door locked?
Yes.
How did you get in?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said, was it unlocked?
No, I asked if it was locked.
Oh, sorry. It was unlocked.
As you're approaching the house, were there any lights on?
No.
Was it dark?
Yes.
Any sign of any movement inside the house before you went in?
No.
Take us through walking through the front door. What happens?
So I went in the front door. I opened the door. I walked up the stairs into their hallway, and then I think I knocked on their door.
Bedroom door?
Their bedroom door. And then I opened the door. I went in, and I walked over to the bed, and I was like, Brian, Nicole, because I was in a position where I felt like the world was going on around me, so much was happening, but I also was aware that I was just about to wake up two people that are sound asleep, and they're going to see me standing over their bed and be startled, wondering, what am I doing here?
So what happens?
So it took a minute or two, and then Brian woke up, and he immediately was like startled and was like, Jennifer, what's going on? What are you doing? And then I believe I tried the best I could to say what was going on. I think I said, we found John.
You don't need to describe
Okay.
again, but I want to know their reaction and your interaction with your sister and Brian Albert.
They woke up startled and confused.
Did you have a conversation with them?
Yes.
How long was that conversation?
Brief. They got up, got dressed. I spoke to them.
And where did you go and where did they go?
Then all three of us went down the stairs.
The upstairs to the downstairs?
Upstairs to downstairs,
And
yes.
upstairs is the second level, is downstairs the first level?
Yes.
As you come down the stairs, can you see the front door?
Yes.
Is there anybody in the house at that point?
I saw Officer Lank.
In the house?
Yes.
Do you know if he had been invited in?
I have no idea.
When you came down the stairs and saw Officer Lank, where was your sister and Brian Albert?
They were walking with me down the stairs.
And did you see whether or not the officer spoke with your sister and your brother?
He did.
Brother-in-law? I'm sorry.
He did, yes.
Were you there during that conversation?
No,
How long was that conversation? Do you know?
not sure.
Where did you go when the officer was speaking to your sister and your brother-in-law inside their home?
I was standing at the front doorway, and then my husband, Matt, had just arrived.
What happened next?
I started talking to Matt, and almost immediately Officer Lang came, got Matt, and asked if he could talk to him outside.
Okay. At this point, I want to go back and show you some video. Have you seen video in this case before?
Yes.
I'd like to ask the court's permission to display Exhibit 4, and I would like to walk through some of the video.
Okay.
Ms. Gilman, if you kindly put on Exhibit 4. I'd like to start at 6:09:57. Ms. Gilman, if you can take us to the arrival at Fairview. Could you stop there, please? Ms. McCabe, do you recognize this scene?
Yes,
Is that morning?
yes.
The car directly in front of this dash cam, do you know whose vehicle that is?
Kerry Roberts.
On the left, we see somebody with a blue parka or jacket. Do you know who that is?
I believe that's me.
Can you continue to play, please?
Does he have front problems? Does he run? Does he run? Huh?
Can you stop there, please? Does that fairly depict your first interaction with law enforcement?
Yes,
Do you see the flagpole in that video?
yes,
And is that the area where you found John?
yes.
I'd like to move forward in the video. If we can move forward to 6:14:45, please. Could you stop there? Can you identify people on that video from right to left, if you can?
I don't know the officer. That's myself. I believe behind me, that's Miss Reed.
And this is about, well, let me get the time correctly. 6:14:47. And do you know where John is at this point?
Are they lifting him to the left?
Okay. Could you continue, please, Ms. Gilman? Could you stop there? The person all the way to the left near the flagpole. Do you know who that is?
I believe Kerry Roberts.
And is that the area where John was found?
Yes,
And that's at 6:15 a.m.? If you don't know, that's okay. Do you know what Ms. Roberts was doing at 6:15 a.m.?
my guess is
I
that.
don't want you to guess. Just if you
I
know.
don't know.
Okay. Now, you're over to the right. Is that you?
Yes,
Okay. Continue, please. Is that Kerry on the left?
yes.
Stop, please. On the right, do you see yourself?
Yes.
And which person are you?
I'm the one next to the one with the fluorescent yellow.
Is your back to us?
Yes,
To the right in yellow. Do you know who that is?
I don't.
Continue, please. Continue.
Is this critical to the Commonwealth's case?
Stop, please. Do you see the
I'm
defendant
saying.
to the left?
Yes,
Do you see the yellow jacket?
yes.
Do you know whether or not that's the woman first responder?
I believe so, yes.
Do you know why the officer moved the defendant over to from right to left?
I don't.
Okay, continue, please.
I heard you
Joe,
that
can
time.
you hear me?
Stop.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Got
At
you now.
that point, Karen, is
Perfect.
there a conversation between the defendant and the first responder?
Yes.
Are you listening?
Yes.
Continue. Stop. Do you see the officer that was with you in the group?
Yes,
Do you see him now turned away from the group speaking to somebody else?
I do.
Continue, please. Thank you. If you could move ahead to 619, please. Is that you, Ms. McCabe and Ms. Roberts?
Yes.
Is that Ms. Roberts?
Yes.
Stop for a moment. Do you know at which point you went to the officer's car and sat in the back with Ms. Reed?
I believe it's right after this.
Can you continue, please?
What is the point of all this?
I'm not seeing a whole lot of evidentiary value myself.
They've already played this, man, and it was the same thing. Day 1 or 2, we saw this whole, and it was silent. There's nothing being said. You just see the scene and everybody walking around, and he's wanting her to place who's where and what. They're trying to determine that Lank did nothing suspicious when he entered that home, because he's going to come up again under cross. That's all I can figure from what I know about the case so far.
Is that Ms. Roberts?
Yes.
Stop, please. Was it before or after that moment that you sat with the defendant and Ms. Roberts stood outside the car and you prayed?
I'm not exactly sure from that video.
That's fine. If we could move forward to 62340, please.
So he's establishing the fact she prayed, so she must be very nun-like. Like, she must be holy. He went out of his way to establish that. When did you pray exactly?
Yeah. He's got to establish a whole heck of a lot because he's not getting there so far.
At this time,
Yeah.
are you still with the defendant behind this car in some spot?
Yes, I am.
And they're trying to say she was jealous of Bella's mama. They have yet to prove that to me. Like,
Is it
that's her
during the
motive.
time, 623 and 624, you tried to make those searches at the defendant's request?
Yes.
Ms. Gilman, if you can move forward to 620, 615. Pause, please. Ms. McCabe, do you see anybody returning to Ms. Roberts' car in that area?
Yes.
And who did you see?
I saw myself, and I'm standing outside of the car speaking to Officer Lank. I saw Kerry go up and near her car. I'm not sure if she went into it. And I saw someone walk Miss Reed into the car.
Is it around this time you have a conversation with Mr. Lank?
Yes.
And what does he tell you again around this time?
He's
Objection,
at this point, I think,
hearsay.
asking me questions about what had happened. And then soon after, he asks
Correct
me to
hearsay.
go into my sister's house.
Ms. Gilman, if you can fast forward to 6:34:15, please.
They're worried about Lank. They're really worried about that.
I'm telling you, it's coming up under cross. I don't know the whole story, but there's something there. And I'm here for it. Lank's part of the cover-up, apparently. Alleged cover-up, let me say it that way. Don't come at me, Karen Reese supporters. I'm not saying this woman's guilty. I have no clue. But so far, they're failing miserably to prove anything.
Stop, please.
Why?
Describe that the house had no lights on. Is that a fair depiction of,
Yes.
the view?
Yes.
Do you see a figure walking up the driveway?
Not on this pause clip, but I did see it. Yes.
Let's play it and see if you can identify.
Who was
Yes,
it?
I can see myself walking up.
Oh,
Where are you now?
I'm walking up the
I
path
see her.
to go up to the stairs into the house.
And this is at the request of Officer Lank?
Yes.
And you described first you went in and woke up your sister and brother-in-law?
Yes.
Could we move forward to 6:39, please?
Cops don't lock their doors at night and they get drunk and drive around. Wow. Brave. Good examples for your children.
Stop. And do you see something happen with the house at that point?
Yes.
And what happened?
Light went on.
I'll note it's 6:39:08. Thank you, Ms. Gilman.
And they don't have any ring cameras on the outside of their house. What the heck?
I know, right? Come on. We're the cops. No one's going to mess with
After
us.
first responders took John and you had gone in your sister's house, what did you do next?
Next, after Officer Lank spoke to my husband, Kerry Roberts, her and I had a conversation. She was going to go pick up John's parents in Braintree. At first, I had told her I would go with her. But then Officer Lank said that one of us had to stay at Fairview to speak to I believe it was the state troopers that would be coming.
Did you stay at Fairview?
I did, yes.
What was your mental state at that point?
Again, I was in shock. The best way I can describe it is the feeling of I'm present and everything's going on around me, and I'm just trying to process and make sense of everything.
Did you speak to your sister about what happened?
Yes.
Did you speak to your brother-in-law about what happened?
Yes.
And were they giving you any comfort or support?
Yes, they were being very comforting and supportive.
As you were waiting at Fairview, did anybody else come to the house?
Well, my husband, Matt, had arrived. A little while later, Julie Albert had arrived. She was dropping something off, and then Brian
What was she
Sr.
dropping
called her
off?
in.
Is Julie Albert the wife of Chris Albert?
Yes, she is.
And Brian Albert and Chris Albert are brothers?
Correct.
When she arrived, did you talk to her?
Yes.
Were you in a group? Were you talking to people privately?
No, we were all sitting around the kitchen table.
And why were you talking to everybody?
We were trying to figure out what had happened. They were trying to be supportive, trying to help me.
What was your mood?
I was extremely concerned. I was calling Kerry, trying to get updates about John. I was worried about John, his family, about Kaylee.
At that point, did you know whether John was going to live?
I had a very strong, I think deep down I knew that John was gone. But you know, there's, until you hear it, I think there was that little bit of hope maybe.
Did you speak to anybody but Kerry who was not at the home that morning?
I believe I spoke, yeah, Miss Reed.
You had a conversation?
Yes, I spoke to her when she was in the ambulance.
Why does she have to think about this testimony
Did you
so
speak
hard?
to her again later that day?
No, I think I
Gotta get it
texted
right.
her asking her for Kerry's number because I didn't have it.
Did you hear
She's-
back?
No,
Did you ever speak to Miss Reed again?
no, I've never spoken to her again.
When you were trying
Oh.
to get information from Kerry and you were in Fairview,
Your friend?
did anybody else other than the people you've described arrive at Fairview?
Chris Albert, Brian Higgins showed up, and Chris Albert.
Did you know
Mm.
Brian Higgins?
There's Higgy boy.
I knew him as a friend
Higgy.
of Brian's.
Did you see him at the waterfall that night before?
Yes, I did.
And
Yes, we
after
did.
you arrived at
Peacocking.
Fairview that night, after leaving the waterfall, was Brian Higgins one of the people there?
Yes,
And did you talk about what had happened in front of Brian Higgins as well?
yes.
Was there a group discussion?
I wouldn't say discussion. I would just say, like, for instance, someone would ask me a question because everybody just, this didn't make sense to anybody. No one knew what had happened.
Agreed.
So just move on.
And so was there a lot of questions about what you saw and heard?
Yes.
You mentioned earlier that you felt like you were in a state of shock. Did you feel like you were still in that state, or were things changing mentally?
Little by little, as I sat there, I started things started coming back to me that had been said to me earlier.
Did something significant come back to you about what happened earlier, what you heard?
Yes.
And what is that?
When Miss Reed stated to myself and the female, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
And did anything else over the course of that morning come back to you about that moment?
Throughout, when I was still at Fairview, or throughout the day?
Still at Fairview.
I believe that was maybe the main thing. I can't be sure what time, what memories came back.
But you've been both so specific about other things,
The
Gal.
defendant's statements to the first responder.
Now you can't
You
remember.
tried to do something with that information?
Yes, Officer Lang had said if I, remembered anything or needed anything before the state, the state police came, to give him a call.
And did you?
I did, yes.
And you knew Officer Lang?
I did, yes.
Were you comfortable calling him?
Yes, I was.
Did you tell him the information that you had remembered?
I just asked him to come back to Fairview.
Did he?
He did, yes.
When he came back, did you speak to him?
Yes, I did.
Were you with the group or were you alone?
No, I was with the group.
And did you tell him what you had remembered?
I did, yes.
How long did you stay at Fairview for?
I believe somewhere between 11:30. I'm being approximate with my times. Officer Proctor called me from the state police.
Do you know how he got your number?
No.
Did you have a discussion with him?
He said he would like to come by and question me, and I'm not sure if he said at your house or if I said I need to go home because I had 4 kids at home that were still sleeping, and I knew that I had to go home to them and eventually break this news to them and comfort them, and I knew that was going to be a whole nother situation to deal with.
Did you speak to him on the phone before you went home or
A
after?
quick phone call. I'll see you at my house.
At that point, did you share any information with him?
No, not on the phone.
Did you return home?
I did, yes.
Do you remember about what time that was?
I'm going to say 11:30 or after.
that
Approximate.
General?
General, yeah.
When you got back home, did you have a meeting or speak with Mr. Proctor?
I did, yes.
Was it a phone call or an in-person conversation?
He came into my house with Officer Buchanan.
Okay, him and Trooper Buchanan came in?
Yes.
Was there anybody else at your home?
My husband was home, and my brother-in-law, Brian Albert, came over.
Did you speak to them?
Yes.
Did you tell them any additional information at that point?
The troopers or?
The troopers.
Yes. I know I had said what Karen had said to me, and then she had said, I hit him. Could I have hit him? I told them how she showed up at my house. I just basically gave them the events of that morning.
At that point, did you mention anything about the defendant's broken taillight?
At that conversation, no.
Did they leave?
They did leave, yes.
At some point, did they reach out to you again, or did you reach out to them?
At some point, I had another conversation with them a few hours later. I'm not sure if they called me or if I called them.
Do you know what generally the content of that conversation was?
Yes, I had remembered that Karen had told me about her taillight.
As you're processing that morning, are you trying to think and recreate the event, or are you trying to put it out of your mind?
I couldn't get it out of my mind.
While you were at home, did you receive any updates from anybody, Kerry Roberts or anybody, about John?
Yes, when I was still at the Alberts, Kerry had given me word that, John had passed. Then once I got home, I know different friends who were starting to hear.
Without content, were you receiving contacts, calls, text
Yes.
messages from other people?
Yes.
And were you reaching back out to other people?
Some, yes.
At some point, did you go over to Meadows Road?
On Sunday, I did, yes.
Was Sunday the next day?
Yes, it was.
Why did you go over to Meadows?
Kerry and I went over with my daughter and her daughter to see the family and to offer support and our sympathy.
You said you and Kerry. How did you get there?
Kerry picked me up.
Prior to that evening, you and Kerry, you described, weren't friends or familiar?
Correct.
Were things changing?
Yes, rapidly.
When she picked you up, who else did she pick up with you?
My daughter, who is Kaylee's friend.
And was anybody else, or any of Miss Roberts' family in the car?
Yes, her daughter was in the car as well.
So it was you, Miss Roberts, and your two daughters?
Yes.
You said you went to Meadows.
Yes.
Why did you go there?
To offer our condolences, sympathy, support, to be with the family. I love them.
Were they staying at Meadows?
They were at Meadows, yes.
When you went there that next day, can you describe the traffic and the people that were there?
There was a house full of family, friends, coworkers, loved ones. The car repairman, like anyone and everyone.
Did you ever see the defendant?
No.
While you're at the house, did you have a chance to speak to Miss O'Keefe?
Yes, I did.
At some point that day, did you leave the house?
Yes.
Who did you leave with?
Kerry and my daughter stayed to be with Kaylee, and we left with her daughter.
Where did you go?
We were heading home, but then we ended up dropping off her daughter at her friend's house.
Now, who's her daughter? Don't give me a name. Kerry's daughter?
Kerry's daughter, yes.
And was Kerry's daughter friends with any of the Lanks?
Yes, Kerry's daughter's good friends with Mike Lank's daughter.
When Miss Roberts drove over to Mr. and Mrs. Lank's house, did you meet anybody?
Yes, her daughter, Kerry's daughter, went in the house, and Mrs. Lank came out. Her and Kerry are very good friends, so she came out to offer support and condolences.
Was it still cold outside?
Yes, it was freezing.
When she was offering her support, was she inside or outside of the car?
She jumped into the back seat.
During that time you spent with Officer Lank's wife, did you ever go into the house?
I have a faint memory. I think I went in and used the bathroom at one point.
When you were having the conversation with Mr. Lank's wife, were you talking about what had happened?
Yes, Carrie was just explaining the morning, the phone calls, the scene, things like that.
Were you trying to get any type of inside information or push the investigation in any particular direction?
No, I didn't speak much. It was mostly Carrie and Trish was just being a supporter friend to Carrie.
At some point, did you get together with Ms. Roberts and try to memorialize what you had saw or thought that morning?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
Peg had asked Carrie to do a timeline. So Carrie came over and we were sitting down talking about it. And so my sister was there and she said that she would jot it down for us.
And so when you got together, it was at the request of Mrs. O'Keefe?
Yes.
When she made that request, did you ask you to do that? Did you question why?
No, she wanted us to do it, so I did it.
Why?
Interesting.
She wanted us to remember and try to jot down everything we remembered so we wouldn't forget.
Did you speak to officers further in the future?
Yes.
Can you count how many times you spoke with police or the interviews you had?
There were a lot, or a good amount, I should say.
At some point, did any of the police officers ask if they could take your phone and copy everything on it?
Yes.
Did you have any hesitation about that?
Objection.
Were you cooperative?
Yes.
Why?
I wanted to help in any way I could.
May I approach?
Yes.
Handing you a piece of paper. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
That's my signature.
Do you know what that document is?
Yes, it's the consent form that I signed from my phone.
I can introduce this as an exhibit.
Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor, we can deal with it sidebar. I have no objection to the identification of it. Moving in as exhibit, I do have objection.
Okay, I'll see what's in.
Sidebar. So is Alan Jackson the one that's been objecting to everything in here? If he is, that means he will be the one doing cross exam.
Oh, I think he's going to be the one to cross her because they're already crossed with each other from what I can tell. But I'm pretty sure he'll be the one. I'll be surprised if he's not.
He's
And
sitting there
there's some
fiddling with his papers and rearranging his paperwork, and like he can't sit still. He's like, "Oh, I can't wait to get at this lady. I can't wait for it either, Alan. I can't wait."
Yeah, because there's some things that need to be brought out that I need to hear, especially this communication. Because some of it feels sketchy, some of it doesn't. I can still see it from two sides right now, but I sit looking at this at a very different lens than most people because I didn't watch that first trial. I avoided all the bullshit, so I'm not convinced of anything this woman did yet. You know what I'm saying? They haven't shown me shit. So I totally get it.
Thank you.
Yeah, their meeting to jot down the timeline was interesting, especially at
After
the
that
request
day
of
when
Don's
you
mom.
met with Miss Roberts, and you try to memorialize your memory about what had happened, after that date, have you discussed what happened that morning with other people?
Yes.
And have you discussed it with police over time?
Yes.
I have no further questions at this time.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Buckle up, folks.
I bet you money they told John's mom how Karen was claiming, did I hit him? Did I hit him? And she's like, write down the timeline. Why would she say that? Here we go. I'll mute.
Good morning, Ms. McCabe.
Good morning.
When was the last time you spoke with Carrie Roberts before your testimony today?
She called me last night.
What did y'all discuss?
She asked if my daughters were going to be staying home from school today because her daughter would possibly join them.
Did you discuss anything having to do with your testimony?
Not my testimony, no.
Did you discuss anything in that conversation with her prior testimony?
No.
Are you aware that she testified last week?
Yes.
Did you discuss anything after that, after she testified with her about her testimony?
No.
We know that through her testimony that you had a conversation with her the morning that she testified.
Yes.
Right? Did you discuss what you anticipated to be her testimony in that conversation before she testified?
No.
Have you and Ms. Roberts ever discussed anything about either one of your testimonies, either in the last proceeding or in anticipation of this proceeding?
No.
So for the entirety of the last year, even though you both went through a proceeding last year where you both testified under oath and it was highly, highly publicized, neither one of you, your good friend Carrie Roberts and you, have ever discussed either of your testimonies between that time and this time.
No, we've discussed the case and we've discussed what happened that moment, the moments of the morning, but we have not discussed testimony.
Okay, so let's break that down for a second. I'm talking about, because the timing matters. I'm just asking at this point, if you'll bear with me, just the year from last year at a different proceeding to this year, you have discussed this case.
Yes.
With Ms. Roberts.
Many times, yes.
And you've discussed the specifics of her memory, which would be reflected in her testimony, correct?
We talked about what happened that morning.
So you were talking about what she remembers happening that morning, correct?
No, what happened that morning.
Okay, so not to put too fine a point on it, Ms. McCabe, but if you ask me what I had for dinner last night, it's my memory of what I had for dinner last night. Would you agree with that?
Sustained.
Did you talk about her perception of what happened that morning during the last year?
We've talked about what has happened, yes.
Okay, so I'm trying to break it down between you and Ms. Roberts. You've discussed her perceptions and her memory of what happened, as well as, and separate and apart from, your memory and your perceptions, correct?
Correct.
So there have been circumstances in which you and Ms. Roberts have compared, by definition, what she remembers versus what you remember, correct?
I wouldn't say compare.
Now let's move to what would you say in terms of what you've discussed and why?
I would say that we've both talked about what we've discussed, but it wasn't like a comparison. We weren't comparing anything.
You've talked about what you discussed. What does that mean? Talked about your testimony?
No, we've discussed what happened that moment,
right,
and in those moments. So, when I got a phone call, and that's my story. I got a phone call in the morning, and then Carrie can say,
That's
I
my
got a phone
story?
call as well.
As you said, that's your story, correct?
Not my story. It's
Those
the
were
truth.
yours.
It's the truth.
Okay.
She said
So
it
for instance,
herself.
when you got a phone call at 4:53 in the morning, Carrie Roberts wasn't there, correct?
Correct.
But you've discussed that with her.
Correct.
And you've told her what your perception of that, your memory of that phone call was, even though she was not recipient to and did not witness that phone call, correct?
I've told her about the phone call, correct.
As well as many other details that she was not privy to personally, correct?
Correct.
Conversations that you've had, for instance, conversations that you claim you've had with Ms. Reed, correct?
Correct.
And you've told her what your perception is of those conversations, or your memory was or is of those conversations with Ms. Reed, correct?
Which conversations with Ms.
Any
Reed?
conversations, just anything that she wasn't privy to. You've discussed that with her.
Some things, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And conversely, Ms. McCabe, obviously, she's also discussed certain perceptions and memories that she has about this case, and the facts of this case, as she recalls them, that you were not necessarily privy to, correct?
Yes.
Things that may have taken place outside your presence, correct?
Correct.
And you've talked about things, she's talked to you about things, now I'm getting myself confused. Y'all have talked about things that were outside of her perception and outside of your perception. And you've shared those with each other.
We've shared our experiences. We've become very close. We both lived through a traumatic experience.
How many times would you say you and Ms. Roberts have discussed your individual perceptions of what you remember happening on the 28th or the 29th of January 2022? How many times?
It would be hard to put a number on that. We talk about, it's hard. We're bonded. We talk about the trauma that we relive every day. Karen called us for help and we both answered the phone.
And that bonding is the glue that holds you two together. Is this case, correct?
Yes.
So that probably, by definition, is the foundation of many, many, many of your conversations. Would you agree?
We've grown into friends where we talk about many other things besides the case.
Sure, the movie you saw last weekend and what the kids are doing next week.
Yes, and yes, absolutely. We talk many different things, just like girlfriends do.
I'm just concerned with and asking you about the subject matter of this case and the details and the facts of this case. You two have probably talked hundreds of times, that's fair to say, about your individual perceptions, your respective perceptions of this case, correct?
This happened 3 years ago and we've talked about it time and time again. This case has traumatized us, so
And
it's a huge
talking
part of our lives.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I believe it just, I meant traumatized our lives.
Okay. It would be impossible for you two to have had so many conversations about your respective perceptions of the details of that day without that influencing the other person, correct? You've somehow been influenced by Miss Roberts's perceptions and her memories, correct?
I don't think I would say influenced.
Would you say that she's been influenced by your perceptions and your memories?
Objection. Would you say that, Ms. McCabe?
No, I wouldn't.
Next question.
How many times have you met with anybody from the DA's office? And I'm just going to limit the time frame right now in anticipation of your appearance in this trial yesterday and today.
I'd say roughly 4 or 5.
Can you give me a time frame when those 4 or 5 meetings were?
I don't have dates. I do remember at one point I met with Mr. Brennan. He was new to the case. So I went in and he introduced himself.
How long ago was that? Weeks or months?
And maybe I can't give you a time frame. I'm sorry.
Do you think it was last summer?
No.
Do you think it was?
No, it was more recent.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
sorry.
wasn't in the fall of last year?
No,
It was in 2025 sometime?
I believe so, yes.
You think it might have been February, January?
Again, I can't give you an exact. I'm sorry.
All right. I want to talk about the time frames of those conversations, then I'll ask you a little bit more about those conversations. So that was the first meeting that you had was with Mr. Brennan in anticipation of your testimony. What were the subsequent 4 meetings or so that you've had? With whom and approximately what time?
Okay, so another meeting with Mr. Brennan. Are you looking for who was
Sure.
there?
Who else
All right.
was there?
I mean, can I give you a general answer? I didn't write down like every meeting who was there, but
course.
generally, okay.
Was Mr. Lally there?
During 1 or 2 of the meetings, he was, yes.
Was Ms. McLaughlin there?
Yes.
Was there anybody else from the DA's office there?
The officer or trooper Tully was there at 1. Trooper Buchanan was there at 1. The witness advocates were there. And again, give or take the particular meeting.
Those are 2 meetings that you've talked about with Mr. Brennan and others. What about the third meeting?
No, I'm sorry. I was lumping a few of them together.
Sure,
I
understood.
apologize.
How many meetings would you have? Let's just start there. How many meetings have you had with Mr. Brennan and either staff or colleagues?
So after the first initial meeting, I would say, again, I didn't write them down. Off the top of my head, I can think of 2 or 3 more after that.
Okay.
Excuse me, first initial one.
So that's either 4 or 5 meetings with Mr. Brennan and some combination of his colleagues, Mr. Lally, Ms. McLaughlin, perhaps, Mr. Nelson, perhaps, the other employee of the DA's office, and Troopers Buchanan and Trooper Tully.
Correct.
Were you asked questions about at any of these meetings? I'm just going to lump them all together. Any of these 5 meetings. By the way, when was the most recent?
Last night, I had a Zoom call in regards, I think the court asked them to.
Yes, I'm going
Yeah,
to stop you right there.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to ask a different question, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to lead you through this question.
Okay.
You had a conversation last night. I'm not interested in that particular conversation. That was for a very specific purpose. I'm asking you about everything leading up to, but not including last night's conversation, okay?
Okay.
So let's just leave that one out. You've had, I think you mentioned either 4 or 5 other meetings with Mr. Brennan and some combination of his colleagues and or law enforcement.
Yeah, and I might have, in the 5, included that one from last night.
Okay, fair enough. Were you asked questions in those, we're just going to call them 4 meetings. Were you asked questions during those 4 meetings about your testimony at the first proceeding last year?
I reviewed I did review some of my testimony, yes.
In what format?
I watched.
Paper transcript or?
No, we just watched a little bit of it.
Do you watch your direct examination?
A little bit, yes.
Did you watch your cross-examination?
A little, yes.
Who cross-examined you?
You did.
That was me.
Yes.
And did you watch the redirect or any part of it?
No.
Did you watch any part of any subsequent version of recross or additional questions that you were asked?
I don't believe so, no.
Was there a specific area that Mr. Brennan asked you to look at and review in terms of your direct or your cross-examination?
No.
Did you watch the entirety of the direct examination and the entirety of the cross-examination?
I do not believe so, no.
Were you questioned by Mr. Brennan following your review of that direct and cross-examination?
No.
So he didn't ask you any questions about any of your answers?
He showed me a dash cam and would ask me to point out who's this, who's that, a waterfall video, is this you, is this somebody? Those were the type of questions that he asked me.
What about any discussion about your demeanor and how you performed in the last proceeding? Objection.
Sustained.
I'll ask it a different way. What about your demeanor? I'm using probably a poor word, perform.
Mm-hmm.
How you came across your demeanor in the last proceeding? Objection.
Sustained.
Did you discuss changing your demeanor in any way, shape, form, or fashion from the last trial the last proceeding to this trial? My mistake. From the last proceeding to this trial, was your demeanor ever discussed?
No, I was just told to slow down, answer the question, and answer it to the best of my memory.
Was there any discussion about talking about your background, for instance, your family and your children and being a sports mom, as you talked about in your direct examination?
No, I believe I did that in the previous one as well.
Was there any discussion about crafting your testimony in any way to suggest a softer approach?
No.
Was there any discussion about how to develop your testimony from beginning to end?
Sustained.
Did Mr. Brennan ask you or let me ask it a different way. Did Mr. Brennan take you through a series of questions, for instance, as almost a test run of questions that you might be asked either on direct examination or cross-examination?
No.
Did you practice your testimony with any member of the DA's office?
No.
Were there any sessions where you sat and was subjected to a cross-examination, like a fake cross-examination or a fake direct examination?
No, there
Anything
wasn't.
like that?
No.
What were the things that stand out in your mind? You said you had at least 4 meetings. How long was each meeting, by the way, ish?
The first meeting, I think, was fairly quick. It was just the introduction.
30 minutes, less than 30 minutes?
I don't want to give a time because I'm not sure,
Okay.
but I was fairly quick, yes.
Okay. What about the second meeting?
Again, I don't know specific meetings, but I can tell you that there was a longer one where I did watch some dash cam video, look at different pictures, things like that.
What kind of pictures did you look at other than the dash cam video?
The pictures of John's house.
Okay. The same photos that we saw today?
Yes.
How long in total would you say all of those meetings were? Just taking them all together.
I really can't give you an estimate. I think the first one was fairly quick. The second one, one of them was a little bit longer, maybe a couple hours.
Okay. Then the third one, was that also a couple hours, or was that one fairly quick?
That was fairly quick, yes.
So fair to say between 2, 3, 4 hours total meeting times?
Again, I'd have to probably go back and look at the date and the time. I really can't give you a specific amount of time. I apologize.
Did Trooper Tully or Trooper Buchanan ask you any questions during the course of any of these meetings?
Regarding the case, no, but we did briefly talk about how my kids were, how their kids were.
But they didn't ask you any questions about your testimony, about the case, about your memories, about specific facts?
I do not believe so, no.
During any of these meetings, was anybody taking notes? Ms. McLaughlin, Mr. Lally, Mr. Brennan, any of the troopers?
No, I don't believe so.
So there was several hours worth of meetings with you, and nobody scribed any notes that you saw?
None that I saw, no.
And these meetings were not recorded?
I do not believe so, no.
Ms. McCabe, I'm going to ask you a series of questions about your family because I just want to make sure it's crystal clear who's who. You're married to Matt McCabe, correct?
Yes.
Your sister is Nicole Albert.
Yes.
Nicole is married to Brian Albert.
Yes.
It was Brian Albert's home that you were at 34 Fairview that you arrived at where John's body was found, correct?
Yes.
The same home where that late night gathering was on January 28th going into the morning of the 29th, correct?
Yes.
Would you consider yourself to be close with your sister Nicole and Brian?
Yes, very close.
Your families, it's not just you and Nicole, your whole families are close, correct?
Yes, we have a very close family.
How long have you known Brian Albert?
Since I was in kindergarten.
You consider him, even though he is not blood related to you, you consider him family?
Yes.
In addition to Brian and Nicole Albert, you're also very close with Chris and Julie Albert, correct?
Yes.
Just to be clear, and I'm going to do this slowly.
Okay.
Brian Albert's younger brother is Chris Albert, correct?
Yes.
Chris Albert is married to Julie Albert.
Yes.
You consider Chris and Julie family, even though there may not be a blood relation as well, correct?
Yes.
Chris Albert is a Canton Select Board member, is that right?
Now he is, yes.
And the Canton, that's in Canton? I said Select Board member. Did I mention Canton Select Board member?
It is in Canton,
Okay.
yes.
All right, obviously it's in Canton. The Canton Police Department reports to the Select Board, correct?
I'm not aware.
You're not aware of that echelon?
No.
Okay. You're aware that Brian Albert, your friend of, I'm not going to say how many years, but since kindergarten, was a Boston police officer.
Yes.
He had been a lifetime law enforcement officer for some 30 years before he retired recently, correct?
Yes.
He's a trained first responder, obviously.
Yes.
Brian Albert and Chris Albert have another brother named Kevin Albert, correct?
Yes.
Kevin Albert is a detective with a police department, correct?
Yes, I believe that's his title. I'm not
Which
100%.
Which police department is Kevin Albert associated with?
Canton.
And you've grown up in Canton your whole life, you indicated.
Yes.
Your entire family has grown up in Canton, correct?
Yes.
And you, Ms. McCabe, have 3 sisters. Nicole, we've talked about. You also have a sister named Shelley, is that right?
Michelle, yes.
Michelle?
Mm-hmm.
And Denise, who you mentioned in your direct examination.
Yes.
Nicole is also known by nickname, is that right?
Yes.
What is Nicole's nickname within the family?
Coco.
Does Shelley also have a nickname? Well, I guess Shelley is the shortened
Shelley
name from
is.
Michelle, correct?
Yes.
What about Denise?
She's Dee Dee.
Dee Dee?
Yeah, like Deedee.
Your father lives close by in a neighboring town, correct?
Yes,
Don't tell me the town, but it's relatively close to Canton.
20 minutes, yes.
Okay. His name is Tom Weeks.
Yes.
I'm not going to go through all of them right now because the family tree is getting large, but there are children, cousins, second cousins, nephews, aunts, uncles. There's a combination of familial relations within that set of folks that I just talked about, Chris and Brian and Nicole and you and Matt and the folks that we've just talked about.
Yes.
That family, that large family, celebrates holidays together, I'm guessing?
We don't typically, celebrate with Kevin and Chris, but my family does, yes.
Along with Brian, Albert, and Nicole?
Yes, of course.
Birthdays are celebrated within that family?
Yes.
Go on vacations together, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Gatherings like the one on the 28th?
Yes.
Special events?
Yes.
Spend weekends together?
Yes.
You mentioned a lot of sporting events. There's a lot of sporting events that y'all go to together.
Yes.
So it is very, very easy to see that it's an extremely close-knit family.
Yes.
And naturally, you're very protective of your family, as anybody would be.
Yes, I love my family.
You also said that you knew, and your words, liked Karen Reed, my client, on the 28th of January 2022, correct?
Yes.
But she very much is not family, correct?
Correct.
She certainly was not as important to you as your actual family, the Alberts, the McCabe's, the folks associated with them. Is that right?
Yes.
On January 28th, 2022, members of the Albert family and the McCabe family all went to a bar together, had drinks together that night. Waterfall, we've heard a little bit about that, correct?
Correct.
Ultimately, you went back to your sister's house for the after party that we've heard so much about. That was at Brian Albert's house, is that right?
Yes.
You've been interviewed, I think you indicated multiple times, you didn't even give a number of how many times you've been interviewed by police in this case, is that right?
Yes.
Your family is connected to people at Boston Police Department. We've just talked about that, Brian Albert, is that right?
Well, Brian was a Boston police officer.
Right. So when I say connected, there is some familial or family or friendly connection to that police agency, Boston Police Department. It'd be Brian Albert in this case, correct?
The objection sustained.
There's also a connection to the Massachusetts State Police through your family, is that right?
Objection.
So define connection.
Julie and Chris Albert are very, very close to you. Right.
I'm close with Julie and Chris, yes.
You're aware that Michael Proctor's sister, Courtney, is basically best friends with Julie.
No, I'm not aware of that. She's best friends with Julie's sister, Jillian.
Okay, so Courtney's best friends with Jillian, who's sisters to Julie,
Yes.
who's married to Chris, who's an Albert, who's the little brother of Brian Albert.
Yes.
Okay. And Canton Police Department, there's also some connections there as well, Kevin Albert being the most obvious of them.
Objection.
I'm going to allow that. Do you have a connection with the Canton Police Department?
Not with the department, but with Kevin Albert.
Right, who's a member of the department.
Yes, but my relationship's with him.
Understood. You've indicated that you've been interviewed by law enforcement agents associated with with Canton Police Department. That'd be Officer Lank.
Yes.
Can I
and
stop
Officer
you for a
Good.
second and see counsel at sidebar, please?
Sure.
Why are we at sidebar the minute Lank's name comes up? You there, Joe?
I'm muted. I'm unmuted now. I did my whole sidebar thing and nobody heard it.
I'm on mute. I just muted for a second. I'm actually outside. I took a walk because my shoulder was bothering me. I'm like, I'm just going to go outside and walk around for a little bit. But that's the odd time for a sidebar. So what were you
Yeah.
sidebarring about?
Yeah, why Link? I mean, they're okay with the the McAlberts. They're okay with all those. So, all right.
Just-
So you're on a walk, so you're just listening, so you're not watching.
Mhm.
But I'm curious what people think
Oh, I'm
about.
listening and watching.
Okay, good.
I'm on my
So
phone. I
maybe you
got it
can
up on
answer
my
this for
phone.
me. So every time that she answers Alan Jackson's cross examination, she's looking at him when he asks the question, but then she turns her head to the side, which is what she did in
Mm-hmm.
the first trial, and makes eye contact with the jury when she answers the question. So,
Reaffirming. She was
right, but
coached to do that. You can believe that.
yeah. But so is
That's
that my question is that an effective method? If I'm on the jury, I'm like, she's just weird. Why is she looking over at me all the
it
time?
depends on the individual juror, right? And your perception. Because I might find it weird and I might not. Depends on the person on the stand. She's a little odd already. I think the jurors don't know as much as we know. Always got to remember that. So if they can get there like I'm getting there without external influences, I think that's a good sign, right? I hope they can get there because so far they've failed to do stuff, like that would prove anything to me. But this lady's got the Lank guy, something about like when they went to his house and she goes inside to use the bathroom and she claims that Carrie was the one talking the whole time to Lank's wife because Carrie is a talker, meaning she never spoke. But they are thinking that, no, maybe you were over there colluding with him at the same time. Sorry, getting
No, I
stories
do.
straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're over there.
exactly. Yep.
So hold on.
38 Special said, hold on loosely.
But don't let go. If you cling
Right.
too tightly, you might lose control. I got a fleet. I'm sorry. I had a convoy of freaking log trucks roll by. I'm mute.
Your eyes for the jury. Jurors right this way, please, with your notebooks and chairs.
All right. So we're on a ceiling fan break. Mid-morning break,
Of course we
10:41.
are. Y'all don't stare at it. You'll get dizzy if I do. That thing
if
makes me sick.
if you notice, that was the thumbnail. Like I ran this up the flagpole real quick, like to get live
I don't even know if
to
I
show
paid
the monkey.
attention when I told you I didn't have internet. You're like, well, should I go live? I'm like, sure, why not? And I posted it up on my community tab real quick.
And then my thumbnail is the ceiling fan. Like I got to do it. I got to do the ceiling fan.
That's okay. We'll take it. It is what it is. It's the only fan. She deserves a show, I guess. I mean, she probably needs her own Instagram at this point.
She
My
needs a Venmo
gosh.
account. She needs a Venmo account that we can support the OnlyFan.
Here, get somebody to dust your ass. Or get you a newer looking fan. I don't know.
Can you
Fancy it
imagine
up
the
a
guy
little
that's
bit.
responsible for dusting that fan? Like you got to get up on like a 20-foot ladder to dust that thing.
Oh yeah. All them buildings, they do. Um yeah.
All right. So
So
summarize where
go
we're at
ahead.
this morning with this. No, you
Mm,
summarize. I'm waiting for your summary. Oh
I don't
no.
really have I don't
Stop.
have one
Stop.
yet.
Hey there, Karen Reed
Stop,
trial
Jesse. No,
watchers.
stop.
Moving along.
No, he did
Uh-uh.
it again. He snuck in there. He did that to
He
me
did.
yesterday and scared me. I'm like, whoa, porn star, hold up. Hold on. I like Jesse, but you just give me that vibe, you know what I mean? He got that
Well,
70s look going on.
and Bob said he met him at CrimeCon and he's like
Uh-huh.
4 foot. He's like 4'10". Obviously not literally 4'10", but
For
he's just a
real?
little guy. Yeah. Said he's
Like,
just a little guy.
that's so funny. Um, so funny. I don't know yet because I'm still waiting for them to get to the good cross of this lady to show me any holes in her story, right? Because they've already failed to prove to me that Karen Reed is some crazed, jealous woman who was out to mow this man down because he might be at Bella's mama's house. They had a meeting right before we went to trial this morning about that statement coming into court. And the defense is finally like, we don't care. Let her come in and say, Karen, or, I told them to go past Bella's mom's. And then, because at some point she claims that Karen made the comment to her, could he be at Bella's mom's house when they couldn't find him? because Karen didn't know where he was, allegedly.
Right. So she's speculating about like an old girlfriend. Like, could he be at his old girlfriend's house?
Or a
Right.
new girlfriend coming up, because Bella
Right.
was the daughter. Bella was friends with McCabe's daughter and John's niece, who he was raising. So that's where the connection to Bella even came in. And so Bella's mom kind of helped with the kids a time or two, probably spend the night, whatever. But I don't know anything about their relationship. So what if Karen screams, could he have been at Bella's? I mean, shit, hours before that, John's saying, is your plumber good looking or is he hot or whatever? They were both doing it to each other. So that proves nothing to me.
Right.
I don't see a message saying, if you don't stop messaging this girl, I'm going to harm you. I don't see any of that yet.
Right now, it's
saw
all
him.
circumstantial to me. Like all we're hearing about is circumstantial bullshit, and I'm over it.
We haven't got to the evidence at hand that's going to show us what happened. That testimony is going to be excellent. But poking holes in the stories along the way matter because you're less credible to the jurors at that point. If they can get up there and show that Jen McCabe's testimony has changed, or she's remembered better, she's lied, or whatever they can point out, the jurors should remember that, because I'm remembering it. I know that Carrie got up there and admitted her shit changed. And Jen done said my story a few minutes ago. I was like, oh, really? Y'all better choose your words wisely. Not y'all, I'm talking about the people testifying. You know what I mean? Because I pay attention to that stuff. There's a lot of ways you can phrase that.
Carrie admitted lying to the grand jury, right?
Yeah.
Holy
Misstatements.
crap. Like, how can you take... And then Jen just admitted that they have talked literally hundreds of times about this case between the two of them. So
yeah, but never discuss testimony, please. You were sitting there almost immediately writing down a timeline for John's mom. Why? What prompted his mother to ask you to write a timeline down for when y'all didn't even know what had happened? So did y'all go and tell her? Well, Karen was screaming, did I hit him? Did I hit him? And she's like, oh my God, that bitch hit my son. Like, what's going on here? How did it escalate so quickly into she murdered him? I'm like, I'm not getting it.
I don't remember her mother being involved that much in the first trial. I don't remember her at all, actually. So
well, I've heard she does shady. I don't know. She did shady stuff. I don't know. I couldn't tell you anything about the lady, except for what I just heard in testimony, which matters the most to me, right? And I'm just like, why would John's mom be asking y'all to... I get, what time did you find my son? What all was being said? I get it. But go write down a timeline is weird. But as a mother, if you think your child is harmed and you don't know what's happened, maybe you want it all wrote down. But what was there to write down? Other than Karen called us 5 a.m. We all go look for John. We find him in snow. Karen's freaking out, wondering if she could have hit him. She at first said, I left him at the bar. And McCabe was like, no, you didn't. You were at the Albert home last night. I saw you. Oh, but you didn't see John. You only saw Karen's car. So Karen didn't remember right away that she even left with the man and drove him to Fairview, past Bella's mom's house. Possibly, if she was that drunk.
Oh, I've got
Still
the
doesn't
speed.
tell me she did something,
No, it doesn't. I've got the fan on double speed. Don't get too hypnotized.
Crank that bitch up. Spin us into orbit. Goodness.
No, that's why I don't understand still why the first jury was hung. I don't get it.
Because from what I'm understanding, it's something to do with jury instructions, and they were confused on what they could and couldn't charge her with. Because at some point, she wasn't charged with murder right out of the gate. I don't believe.
Right. I don't think so either.
Then it was upgraded, quickly. And I'm like, why? Were they seeing text messages about some jealous BS that made them conclude, well, heck, she did that on purpose? Like, that's weird. Let me see all the texts between McCabe and her husband. Are you flirting with somebody today? I mean, is that going to be up in them texts too? Sounds like we got a whole town full of jealous people running around.
Yeah, a bunch of drunk, jealous people. Drunk, jealous
Well,
people.
and the more they lay out this connection between everybody and who's doing what and going where and talking to who, are they concocting a story behind the scenes? All that matters to the overall trajectory of the case and how the defense is going to lay this out. At some point, the defense came convinced she didn't hit him at all. Now, did the defense think at first possibility, but it was an accident? And then through their, was it Wolf's testimony and findings that led them to believe otherwise? I don't know that part yet either. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. We'll see.
Yeah, there's lots of evidence to be sorted out for sure. Like, we're not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not there either way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot. So far, I'm leaning toward, I already know in my heart of hearts, this woman didn't do anything maliciously. I just don't see that intent yet at all. And so you want to come in now and make a statement about it's past Bella's mom's house as if that's going to incriminate or give motive. I mean, hell, she ran him over, y'all, according to y'all. So how would she think he was at Bella's mama's? Weird.
Ooh,
They think I'm not picking up on that, but I
that's
am.
a good point. That's a really good point. I didn't even
Yeah.
think about that. Damn, it's
I
one
do
or the
think
other.
about
It
stuff
can't
like
be
that.
both. Yeah,
Yeah.
it can't be both.
We can't have two
No.
things happening here at the same time, people. So y'all done messed up a couple of times. What the prosecution has as far as convincing me of anything. And remember, I don't know all that's out there. I have not consumed one single thing Turtle Boyer has ever put out. So that doesn't influence me at all. I'm basing it on what I see in court, which is what I wanted to do. And so far, they're failing. So that's on them, not me, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Maybe I'm
That's
just
so
not as
funny.
gullible as they want most of us to be, you know?
Yeah. Well, Firefly made a really good point. So
Damn
this
it.
was before Alan Jackson started to ask her about this. Firefly said in chat. So once again, I think Alan Jackson probably has somebody monitoring our chat, right? Firefly said somebody has coached her and told her to be more likable
Oh,
because
yeah.
she was not likable the first trial, and she is a little more likable, not as I'll say not as unlikable for the second trial.
And here's
Alan
another
asked her
thing.
about that. Alan said,
Not
"Did you
only
get
that,
coached on that?"
well, not only that, her look has softened by her hair, toned down, not as rigid. Because during the O.J. Simpson trial, Marcia Clark caught hell because of the way she looked. She appeared and came off as a hard ass. They eventually started softening up her hair, and even the news media noticed it. That's when I was like, whoa, they're right. They done softened that woman's look up and changed her whole persona. Get in there and act right, lady. Don't make us look like idiots, like hateful, you know. So, yeah, she was coached to get in there, be the nice girl this time, not the mean girl attitude, because that's not a good look either.
Right. I think she may
So
have
I
even
think
visited
Firefly's
the
dead on with
Cannings
that.
booth.
She was highly coached. You can
Yep.
tell. So, you know, if they
But she
did that with
denied it.
her, they did
She
it with the rest
denied
of
it.
them.
Yeah, she denied it though.
Of
Like
course
he
she's
asked her
going to deny
directly.
it.
Yeah.
You can't admit it. It's not going to look good. So they're going to lie about it and say, no, that never happened. Now, we're not idiots either. You're all prepped. Okay, let's not play this the wrong way. They're going to prep their witnesses. But to what extent, right? To the point where you write a script out for them, or are you prepping them how to behave on the witness stand? Because that's a real thing and it's absolutely necessary. But yeah, there's a difference between prepping for trial and being coerced or given a script. I'm gonna walk in this store real quick. I'm gonna mute out real quick.
All right. And we're gonna stare at a ceiling fan for another 5.5 minutes. We're supposed to come back at 11 o'clock Eastern, people. So walk and talk. I'm gonna have to take a break too, but I can wait a couple minutes till she's done in the store. Being fed oatmeal with a finger. That does not seem like a lot of fun. You know, when we were in elementary school and we got those little ice cream, those little styrofoam things of ice cream with the little wooden spoons? I hated that. Like those little wooden spoon things just ruined the whole experience for me. Did anybody else remember that? Or am I just like the only old man in here that remembers the wooden spoon with the styrofoam ice cream thingies? Just talking to myself, staring at a fan. Hey, I've got a fan. Yeah, the defense definitely picked up on the flows, if you will. That's kind. You like the wooden spoons? Firefly, no. What's wrong with you? Those wooden spoons, they would like put splinters on your tongue. I would rather eat the ice cream with my finger, like oatmeal, than use those wooden spoons. I felt like I was going to get a splinter every time I put that thing in my mouth. I'm like, oh, be careful, be careful. Just use your teeth. The orange sherbet was the best, though. Like of all of the styrofoam ice cream, the orange sherbet was the best. That was like almost like a creamsicle. And I could take the wooden popsicle stick and a creamsicle. Like I was okay with that, but for some reason the wooden spoon got to me. I'm just weird like that. See, what are the RPMs on that fan? Like, can you tell from the video? Is that like 33 1/3, 66 2/3? Way faster than that. Oh, the ice cream truck. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. Do they even have ice cream truck? I think paper containers. Oh yes, the creamsicles had paper containers. They did. Like like push-up pops. I think we call those push-ups. And the ice cream truck, I don't even know if they have those anymore. I think like bad people may have ruined that for everybody, that we just don't do. No. Last time I was ice cream trucks. Last time I was with my sisters, I remember an ice cream truck going down the road. I remember that. That was just like a couple years ago.
That's funny because I was just mentioning the other day that when Whiffin or whatever his name is that testified, we had a guy here when we were growing up named Mr. Whiffle, who was an ice cream man. He drove that little truck all around my grandma's whole community. And then I think we were almost adults. We heard he got arrested for doing bad things. And we were like,
no.
What? The ice cream guy? Oh my God. Do you know how many times we were at that dude's truck buying ice creams in front of my grandma's house? Yeah, I don't know whatever happened to that case, but yeah, not funny, but weird.
No, not funny. Not funny.
I'm walking back toward my house. I had to walk down to the corner and get out of the house for a minute. You know, gummies and all that. So they just on a break?
Yeah, till the top of the hour. They said supposedly we're coming back at the top of the hour.
Now that micro dots I noticed last night we had been reviewing some of their little videos. They dropped a video last night. I don't even know if Firefly may have seen it, but he compares Jen's testimony last time compared to what she's testified so far this time. And it's like almost scripted, word for word. Yeah, it was like, whoa. I said, I've got that saved in case we review it at lunch or something. But yeah, he could put them side by side and would be like, and yeah, it's pretty cool. But I was like, gosh, that's like almost word for word. And I get it. If you got nothing to change, it shouldn't change. But I don't know. You may word it differently this time. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and a year has passed, so your memory is a little bit different, but not if you sit down, 20 times with the prosecution and review your testimony and with your best friend, Carrie.
Yeah, your new best friend.
Right. Moonchild. I remember those wooden spoons. That's how this trial is going for me. Perfect analogy. I love it. Like you gotta get that ice cream in your mouth and like scrape it off with your teeth so you don't get any splinters on your tongue.
I used to hate the way those things tasted or felt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
Stand it. All right, I'm going to mute out for a second. I'll be back in a minute.
All right. Supposedly the trial's coming back in a minute too. So thanks for hanging out, people. This is a different space. I mean, a lot of other channels are broadcasting this and have hundreds and hundreds of people watching, and I'm okay not being in a chat with hundreds and hundreds of people.
I honestly prefer it.
Yeah.
You can
Yes,
actually
Jen
talk
and
to
Carrie.
people without,
Right.
they can actually see your comment and comment back. I'm talking about chatters can see each other's comments and comment back and have a conversation without it being flooded so fast you can't see anything.
Yeah, and not only the speed of the chat, but also like if you say something that somebody disagrees with, like boom, you can get attacked like pretty quickly in those big chats. Not that like Defense Diaries does that. Like I usually don't get attacked in there, but people will in those big chats. They'll come at you if you have a different opinion.
I don't do those big chats like that. Unless sometimes I might for fun, but I don't normally hang out in them. It's like, if I don't stream this trial, where am I going to go watch it? I got to go watch it at Law and Crime, where I've been streaming it from. I was like, where are y'all going to be watching it from? And then you were like, well, I can go live. I'm like, do it so we can just go in your chat and talk. We appreciate you, but my internet's still down. I don't know what's going on with it. Firefly says, look at Court TV chat. I'm scared too. I'm frightened.
Butterfly, we appreciate having you in here too, Butterfly. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, the push-up ice cream. Yes, the outside of the push-up ice cream was like a toilet paper roll. Yep, 100%. Oh my gosh. I didn't even think about that, Moonchild. That's funny. We survived eating that ice cream because it was awesome. Like, that was the perfect thing. We had a little market downtown in the little town that I grew up in. So 836 people was, I think, the population they published on the little town sign outside of the town. And they had a little market downtown, and they had little push-up pops in the little chest freezer. And I had a paper route, so I would take my change from the paper route and I would go get me a push-up pop from the little market. That was an awesome time. And then we had a swimming pool that was down at the park. It was a big rectangular swimming pool, but we'd go swim in the pool all day. Those were good times. Like if you describe to me what your version of heaven is, like that'd be pretty close to mine, because, getting up in the morning, delivering papers. I mean, that's not the best, but it's not the worst. But then taking my money from my paper route, going and getting a push-up, going down to the swimming pool and hanging out with my friends. Those were pretty cool summers. Oh, yeah. Banana chocolate bomb pops. Banana and chocolate, that's a weakness of mine. I definitely would go for those too. Back in the day when I was a teenager, though, it was like the orange sherbet push-up pops. Those were my favorite back then. But banana and chocolate now, yep. Huh, we're not back from break yet. Holy cow, I just panned over to the Law and Crime channel because that's what I'm streaming. And the chat went by 400 miles an hour. No, thank you. No. I'll sit here with you guys and talk about orange push-up pops and banana chocolate bomb pops.
I had to go in there and get food, man. I was hungry. Y'all hungry? Joe, it's early for you still, right? It's 10 a.m. my time.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock my time.
Oh, wow. I keep forgetting that you're 2 hours behind me.
My body doesn't even know what time it is. I'm asleep now 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So my body still thinks I'm on Eastern time. So I'm all good.
Oh yeah, I don't y'all need to stop focusing on the clock. Your life will,
Yeah.
I promise you,
Right.
it improves. I don't look at what time it is
Mhm.
when I go to bed half the time. I only look when I wake up because I pick up my phone out of habit. I can usually guess what time it is. I'm pretty good at that. I wake up and go, ugh, no, it's not 5 yet. What are you doing? Go back to, I did that this morning twice. Got myself to go right back to sleep. Don't even worry about that clock. Just going back to bed.
Firefly's going to go get herself a banana chocolate peanut butter smoothie.
I see that. Remember, my aunt used to love peanut butter milkshakes. There was a place when we were growing up that used to make these killer milkshakes, and that was always her favorite one was the peanut butter.
Mm-hmm.
Banana chocolate peanut butter. Good Lord. That does sound good.
It does. I want some actual, like, real peanuts in there too, though, not just like all smooth. I want a few
I'll send
peanuts
you
in there
some
for
at the end of the season. How about
taste.
that?
Okay.
If they plant peanuts this year, I will go out there and get all the ones that fall off that they don't harvest. They usually start falling off before they get to them.
Right, right. And that's a southern thing that I didn't know about was boiled peanuts
Oh my
until I
God.
took
Who
some
was
trips
it?
down there.
I remember it was a friend of mine. We were on a live one day talking about boiled peanuts, and she's like, "Them are the nastiest things." And we're like, "No, it's just a southern thing." She's like, "Y'all, those shells are nasty." We're like, "You don't eat the shell, honey. Regardless if you boil them or not, you still take the shell off." And she's
What?
like,
For real?
"Oh." She's like, "Yes." She was like, "Oh." I was like, "Honey, you got to take the shell off regardless." But yes,
Right.
I love me some boiled peanuts, man. I grew up on those things. My pawpaw. Y'all have never had them? You have to make some boiled peanuts. They're good. If
And they
you're into
have different
peanuts.
flavors of them too, right?
Yeah, well, you can. You can get Cajun, you can do whatever you want, really. I like them plain, honestly. I get to taste the peanut, you know? But
Right.
yeah, it's always been a thing around here. I had a friend that moved from Michigan when I was back in the restaurant industry, and she came to work. We hired her, and we were talking one day, and she was like, "Man, I tried a corn dog for the first time." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "I ate a corn dog for the first time." I was like, "Seriously?" She's like, "I never heard of them before." And she's like, "It was the best thing on earth." I was like, "Holy crap, who's never heard of a corn dog? Do you guys know about corn dogs?"
Hey there, Karen Reed trial watchers. You know what? A lot of the
Oh,
trials we cover right
no,
here
Jesse,
on
he
Food
no,
snuck
Rules
back
Jesse,
in
are
no,
there.
unfortunately very
no,
unpredictable. And I'll tell you what,
no.
Butterfly, you can probably Google a couple of recipes, and then you just boil the peanuts. You add salt to it and whatever else kind of flavoring you prefer. Like some do with Cajun boil or whatever, but they're good with the Cajun, but I like them just plain with a little salt in there.
Jesse,
Oh,
why are you still going? I paused him.
he's Jesse. Like, I'm gonna do what
He
I
can
want,
over
George.
he can right? He can overcome a pause. I paused you,
Yeah.
Jesse. No, stop. Mm-mm.
Okay, I just walked into the Dollar General. Y'all are coming with me. What are we gonna look at? I need a candle, but I don't like these cheap candles. Like I'm telling y'all my problems.
So we have stores here in the Midwest. Well, they're in the Midwest. I'm not in the Midwest right now, but in the Midwest called Dollar Trees. Y'all got those down there too?
Oh, definitely. I'm in one right now.
You said Dollar General.
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah. We have Dollar Trees too. I'm in Dollar
yeah,
General,
Dollar
but we have
Trees.
Dollar Tree.
Dollar Trees, everything is exactly $1 until they changed it like 5 years ago. And now everything is $1.25, but they still call it Dollar
$1.25.
Tree. But I will
Yeah.
never forget the time that I walked up to the register and they had dollar condoms on the rack by the register. I'm
No
like,
way. I wouldn't trust them. No way.
you think?
Oh, holy cow, dude.
Dollar condoms, you get what you pay for.
Dude, I would be scared to touch that. Mm-mm-mm.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh gosh.
They have their candles on sale. They smell good, but I'm scared they're going to not smell good once I get them home and light them. I mean, they'll smell good. I want to smell it when I walk in the darn room. I live too far from a larger store. Maybe I just need to order me some online and be done with it.
Oh gosh. My phone just rang with an Arizona number and I didn't recognize it. Y'all
It was
gotta
Lori.
give me advance warning.
That was Lori calling from jail to confirm your interview. Damn
Oh
it,
my
Jay.
God, I missed it. Ugh. Gotta stop
What are we
being
gonna
so
do with
careful
you?
about answering strange numbers, opening up portals and shit.
Well, did you give her your number yet?
Actually, it is on the official list. She is officially registered as a prisoner under my account, as an inmate under my account, not prisoner, inmate. And yes, my phone number is associated with that account.
Oh, you've opened up the door.
I got to Google that number. That's an Arizona number. I hardly ever get calls from Arizona numbers.
Well, don't you got a few friends in Arizona now?
Yeah, but they're all in my contacts list, so they show up.
Ah, true.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see who it is. So before I got this Airbnb, I was going to go take my RV over to an RV park. And
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They never got back to me. So I did the Airbnb thing instead.
They
Nope,
never got
sorry.
back to you?
No, they didn't. They were supposed to send me an email with like the lease agreement and all of that stuff,
Yeah.
and I was down for it. I was going to do it.
I
Nope, they never
remember.
did. Yeah, they never did.
Well, I guess they weren't
Everything happens.
interested. Huh?
Yep, exactly. Like if they can't even send me an email, then what else do they not do? What else do they not take care of? But everything happens for a reason.
Exactly.
It's all good. I'm happy where
Yeah,
I'm at.
I was about to say there's probably a reason why you're where you're at and not there. That's for sure.
Open the portal. It's like right now, it's like a tin can telephone portal right now. So I can hear what's coming in on the other end. But yeah, there's no direct communication yet. Yeah, never answer numbers you don't know. Yeah, I don't.
I don't either.
10.
Ever.
I get 10 of them a day, probably, but very few of them actually come from Arizona. So that one was curious to me.
Yeah, I don't answer to numbers I don't know. I have a voicemail. It's there for a reason. If it's important, you will leave me a voicemail.
Exactly. If it's not important enough for you to leave me a voicemail, then it's not important enough for me to call you back.
Exactly. I don't even think mine doesn't say my name. Like you've reached the voicemail of whoever. It just says leave your number. Maybe I'll call back. It just says leave your name and number.
What is going
I
on?
don't give out my name on my voicemail.
We're almost 15 after. It's like almost 11:15. Are we just going to go straight into a lunch?
Normally she comes back from sidebot and says, okay, we're just going to go ahead and take lunch now. And you're like, well, you could have done that before you went to your little meeting, but okay. Do you, Bev? But she normally will come back and say, because they got to release the jury for lunch and all that. So we'll see how they play it out here.
Still going on. All right, y'all can watch the ceiling fan for a while. Try not to get caught up in it. It's white on white. Like the ceiling fan is colored white and the ceiling is also colored white. They did not consult with an interior decorator. That's a no-no. Oh, I love soy candles, Moonchild. I do. Like for some reason, they don't affect my nose as much as like regular wax candles. Pink zebra. I'm gonna have to check those out. Oh, it's funny they called me about that RV spot though, because I'm pretty sure that got rented out this last week. Maybe they're like, one more chance. You got one more chance. I'm good, thanks. I don't want to be in Phoenix like in July. Brandon Boudreaux's trial, well, the trial of Lori for the attempted murder of Brandon Boudreaux is supposed to start in June. June 2nd is opening arguments. And it's supposed to go through the end of June. Like July 3rd is the absolute, no pun intended, drop dead date. Like that's, Judge Bresky said we're not going past June 3rd no matter what. We do have a week off in the middle of there. Court's got to be dark for him because of training of some kind. So we got to get in 3 weeks. And this last one lasted, what was the last day? 10 days? Commonwealth is hypnotizing us. Karen Reed is guilty. Karen Reed is guilty. Karen Reed is guilty. Anyway, so I don't want to be in Phoenix area when temperatures hit triple digits every single day. I think last year they set a record for a number of days of triple digit temps in the Phoenix area. I'm pretty sure they did. So things are getting hotter. They're not cooling off. Although the weather right now is great. I need to get out and get some more. Oh, Salty disappeared. Like she's not even backstage anymore. She must have been portaled out. So I'm just talking to myself, staring at a ceiling fan. That's about how my life, that sums up my life pretty well. I'm talking to myself, staring at a ceiling fan. I actually have a ceiling fan in the room with me, so I can stare at 2 ceiling fans at once because I'm talented like that. I like candle warmers better than burning the wick. Yes, I dig that. Oh boy, where did they go with this afternoon session? Because Law and Crime says they're back at 11 Eastern, and we're at 11:15 Eastern. Oh yeah, the scammers are crazy. Scammers are crazy. They'll like get a hold of a little piece of personal information that's just enough to convince somebody that, hey, I need to give you more personal information, and then the trouble starts. That actually happened to my son. Somebody cloned my contact information and contacted him through their personal cell phone, but using my contact information so it looked like it was me. And he's smart enough that he figured it out pretty quickly. But I mean, they're crazy clever. Yeah, Firefly, you can't give them an inch because they will take a mile. I had to check in with Salty, make sure she didn't get portaled out of that Dollar General. Did I just hear a bloop? I think I heard a bloop. So Trial TV Live has this thing where they play music during the breaks, during like the interludes. There's Salty. There you are. I thought you got portaled away.
No, I just have bad reception in the dollar store, Dollar General. Damn,
Gotcha.
I'm up here in the country. These logging trucks just won't stop today. Ah, okay, they're gone. I'm on my way back to the house. I live like
Okay.
literally 5 minutes from the store, and like the only two stores I have, well, three technically, but I'm on my way back home now. Took my time.
Yeah, Dollar General's had this really aggressive business plan to build a whole bunch of Dollar General stores in a whole bunch of little towns and like remote areas. And they like did it really aggressively. Like they were building Dollar Generals, like at least one in every county, like across the US. But then they started
I
shutting
know.
them down. They started shutting them down though. Like it wasn't working for them in some areas.
Around here, we get a lot of the new Dollar General markets. I wish they had made this one because it's literally the only store I have within 10 miles of my home. So it'd be great if they would do that. But no, they decided to close it. They called it remodeling. And we're like, what did y'all do in here? Because you didn't do but nothing but add more stuff. But that was it. They just added some extra cold sections, but not a Dollar General market thingy or whatever they call it. But no, we have tons of Dollar Generals in this area, and they're dotted all up around these little rural towns. Not all the rural towns wanted them. I personally don't mind, but I've learned to quit depending on this one. Like, don't wait till I get home to get cat food, because guess what? They're not going to have it.
Right.
I better stop at those 3 other ones I passed before I get home.
Yeah, it was just an interesting business plan to me to be so
Mhm.
aggressive. And then they all of a sudden they started having to shut some of them down already. So
Some
we'll
of those
see.
small towns can't sustain them as long as they
Nope.
think that, they're just going to run in and grab 1 or 2 things and they're out.
Right.
Some people depend on them. If they're like shut-ins, you don't have don't want to go all the way to town, 15 miles or whatever, then it's a very convenient thing. But, this is just, that's all we got out here is a damn Dollar General, gas station. And now I got a gummy store in the country. I was a little floored when that happened, but I'll take it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What is the delay, Sujoy?
Yeah, I mean, are they discussing length? Are we discussing how we're going to handle this going forward? Shouldn't this have all been worked out pre-trial?
You would think so. I mean, they've had plenty of time for pretrial workings out.
How many interruptions are we going to have like this in the Koberger trial? Are we going to be there for a year?
Oh gosh. So does Hitler allow arguments on objections?
So far.
Okay. So it's not like her. Yeah, she annoys the crap out of me with her no arguments for objections.
Well, I get that, but I don't know what to say about it. She just it's annoying, but
I kind of understand too, because in certain instances it could prejudice the jury. Like, but on the other hand, if it's a legitimate objection, then the jury's already been prejudiced by whatever they're objecting to. So the
it's
jury
like when
should hear both of them.
Yeah, because if they make a statement, like even when the witnesses makes a statement, they can be like, strike that. Jurors, you ignore that. Are they going to ignore that now? You know what I mean? When they're like, strike.
The bell has been rung. Nope, the jury heard it already.
Exactly. So I don't know what her decision making is behind that. I don't know how courts operate in the Commonwealth. This is my first experience with them. Now, I know a little about Idaho because I've already experienced 2 high-profile trials out of Idaho. This is my 3rd one. And I'm talking about Vallow and Chad. They're the first 2. People forget that before Brian Koberger, Idaho had 2 very large back-to-back high-profile cases. All 3 being tried in Ada County. They know what they're doing. I got faith in it so far. But I also noticed last night I was on Twitter trolling around, and I posted it to my community tab. When they first did the location on John O'Keefe's phone, which I think it was at the bar, and then once it arrived at the Albert residence, but they used Cyray's program tracks through Nexus Lexus to get that information. And there's a lot of issues maybe with that type of information and that type of system. Kind of like the Celebrate guy wanting to use his own program to do things with, kind of like Ray. I don't know if I trust any cell phone dudes from this point on. Like, I think
Yeah,
all y'all jacked up. You know what I'm saying?
I do. Like it when you think about DNA evidence, you think about, okay,
Right.
that's like one in a trillion chance that it's not the guy when you
Right.
match DNA, but you find out that there are other various degrees of uncertainty
Mm-hmm.
in some DNA evidence. So it's the same thing with the cell data. Like there's some uncertainty there. How much is that uncertainty?
Right. What's causing the uncertainty is my question usually.
Yeah. And if you wrote your own software, did you write your own software so you could prove your case around your data? Like that would be my first question.
Right. Like I had questions for Ray. Did you create a program after getting a sneak peek of AT&T timing records? But the FBI's like, don't look at that. Never mind. Give it back. Pretend you didn't see it. Don't write that program after all that we asked you to write. And he was like, okay, I won't. Please. Did it help him? I don't know. I don't have no clue. I'm just making that shit up. I don't know what Ray did once he got a sneak peek at the FBI stuff, but it happened. The judge saw it as clearly as I did. That's exactly what happened. And that is how Ann Taylor knew that those records existed. Because he got a sneak peek and knew they existed.
Right.
And she pretty much said that.
So then the question is, what did he do with that knowledge, if anything?
Did he write the program that could read that material?
Right.
He said when he first got it, he didn't know what it was. And then then the FBI gets back in touch with him. They're like, you shouldn't even have that. Don't copy it. Don't write that program we asked you about. Don't do anything. Send it back. And he claims he did. Now, I can't sit here and call that man a liar, but I can say, if I'm a cell phone data expert and I own my own company and you just gave me a sneak peek, I might be tempted.
Yeah, like Whiffen in this case.
Uh-huh.
Whiffen wrote his own program. So I want to know where's Lisa at? Where's Miss Shorty? Because she's got to have some thoughts.
She's probably just getting up, dude.
She's got to have some thoughts on Jen McCabe's testimony, right?
Yeah, she'll be up in a little bit. Because it's like 10 a.m. or whatever. I don't got my glasses on. It's some kind of time here at my house, but she's usually getting up around this time. I think it's like 3. Between 3 and 4 for her.
Is it in Melbourne, as she said, Melbourne?
I think between 3 and 4, because when she comes on at 11 my time, I know she has to get up early.
1:27 a.m. right now.
Yeah, it's early for her.
Holy cow! I hope she's getting some good sleep.
Yeah. She came in yesterday to chat, but it was late in the day, and she was on her way to work. Remember, she even called in on her way to work to give me the business. And I was like, yes. So she came in and did that for us. That was great.
Oh, you just went quiet, so I had to check. Okay, you muted. That's fine. I just wanted to make sure that yeah, you can't unhear what you already heard. Bob Mata says all the time you can't unring the bell. It's once you say it before the jury, like it's really hard to disregard it. I mean, you can make a conscious effort to disregard it, but if it's already in your subconscious, that may be a losing battle to unhear what you already heard.
Well, you're not going to unhear it, but I think that you can, because I've heard a lot, but I don't let that get in the way of the evidence once it comes down to that part. You know what I mean? So they can be swayed by it, but then again, are they smart enough to take it for what it was and add that to the rest of the evidence at hand to make a determination? You know what I mean?
Right.
That's all I can think of.
I don't think juror 15 can be there, but honestly, I think juror 15 and Lori Vallow-Daybell is an anomaly. I think he is he's unusual in the fact that he let something affect him that he shouldn't have, and maybe he did research that he shouldn't have been doing. We don't know. I need to watch that interview with Lauren.
Have you heard of the egg lady in the Murdaugh trial and jury tampering?
No, I haven't actually. No, I know there was a court clerk, and she had some kind of influence because she was writing a book type of thing. But egg lady, I'm not familiar with.
Okay. Well, juror 15 is a normal juror almost. I've seen a lot of jurors come out and speak after trials, and I picture him as that guy next door who never shuts up.
Right. Right. Yes.
There's a lot of those on juries.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen that. His behavior wasn't shocking to me or surprising. It's kind of what I expected, really. Now, Tasha, I liked her better because she didn't surprise. You know what I mean? People are very, very different. That's why you have a very, very different jury. You want a good mix of people on there because two people may not see something the exact same way, which can be a problem in the end when you get a hung jury, right?
Yep.
So
and he didn't
damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Right. So he didn't believe in his doubts enough to hang the jury, but he was the last holdout before a hung jury. He was the last one.
So I thought I saw a video drop this morning right as you were getting ready, like right after you dropped the live link to me. I think Crusha dropped a video, and it said that the jurors will know about Lori's past in Brandon's trial.
Yes.
Have you heard that?
Yeah, I have that. Yeah, I have that document. You want me to show that document? I got it.
Yeah, go ahead, because I haven't reviewed that yet. Yeah. Let's do that while we're on a break.
I actually should have last night when I was on with her, and I'm kind of upset with myself that I didn't.
Yeah, you guys were discussing the other stuff, and I never heard y'all talk about that. Okay,
let me pull it up here. It's in my Lori Vallow-Daybell file, which my folder is like 4 billion documents long now.
Well, welcome to the true crime world, dude.
Gosh.
That's why those Google Drives are amazing. I don't take the time to do them, but other people do.
Crime, Lori Vallow-Daybell. Sort by date. Scroll up to the top, closing arguments, last day extended, subpoena and affidavit of service, minute entries. It's not a minute entry. It's in the 2020. It's in the 2022 case. So I got to do a search for that. Hold on, everybody.
Yeah, because I'm curious. When I saw that, I was like, wait, so they're going to let everything in, or just some of it? What are we talking?
It may still be in my downloads file. Maybe I haven't moved it over from downloads to my true crime file yet. Let's do 2022. Order issued. Order issued. Gosh, it's been within the last couple of weeks. Son of a gun. I know I have this document, and that's Carroll County. That's not.
You ought to make you a file on your Google Chrome for Lori and stick your documents in there, and then you name it.
I do. I have it. But sometimes sometimes I get like 400 of them at once, and I have a hard time getting all of them tucked away and named correctly in that file.
Yeah. Oh, it takes a hot minute to get all that stuff organized. I get it. It's a lot of work. Trust me.
That's not it. Damn it. I know I have it.
I got files all over the place.
It's like a motion to use the defendant's prior bad acts. So I'm going to type in bad acts.
Okay.
No items met your search. No items met. What do you mean no items? Okay. I'm going to have to re-download it.
Because we just had that prior bad acts stuff come up in Koberger case. That's why that video, or that's why that police stop at Farm Road is being redacted. It's part of the reason. And they're not going to bring in his, stealing the sister's cell phone because of the prior bad acts stuff. So that's a real filing. I just didn't know they had filed that in Brandon's case.
Yep.
So I guess the judge ruled that they could.
I don't think there's been an actual ruling on it. It was a motion filed by.
Well, pull up Cresh's video and let's see what it says.
All right, hold on.
Maybe she's got
One thing
something.
at a time. One thing at a time. Here we
Oh,
go.
no,
All
no, no,
right.
no. I expect you to multitask like me. You know I'm teasing you. Guys, I'm teasing Joe. Don't, he's okay. He's a big boy.
I'm good. I'll survive. State's
He'll come
amended
right back
request
at me
for
when I
rule.
need it.
State of Arizona requests to determine the state can impeach defendant with her prior convictions. Okay, this is it. All right.
Okay, cool.
Add to cart. Check out cart. Let me see what the one on 418 was, though. I think that was 418 was when they decided what the schedule would be. Yeah, okay. We don't need the one from 418. We need the one from 427. Check out. Okay, download.
So are they still not back from the sidebar? Are you able
They're
to watch
not.
that, monitor it?
I have been. Let me hop over real quick, double check. Still a ceiling fan. We're still watching the fan spin. Like that's a half an hour past their 35 minutes past their expected break time. That's crazy. E-access. All right, I got your E-access. Leave. Present. Window. Oh shit. Just when I get it up. They're doing a sidebar, so we're gonna look at this real quick while they're doing a sidebar. Or are they coming back? There's John's mom. That's John's brother, right? And I don't know who the gal is in the green shirt, but I assume she's related in some way.
Oh, I was on mute. Sorry.
Yep.
We were looking,
All right.
we could see the document. Oh, what are you doing?
Oh, these?
So, we heard from a couple of jurors in Lori Vallow that they didn't like her smirking and laughing. So I wonder if that's also a negative effect on this jury because she does a fair amount of. Are we going back to the ceiling fan again?
They didn't like it when Lori did it. They did their issue with Lori was she was doing it while acting as a defense attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but I get what you're saying. They absolutely watch the defendant's demeanor. They do. And she might need to slow her roll a little bit. I don't know. Is that normal? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a hard call to make. Hard to tell somebody who's animated not to be, because I probably would be as involved as she is.
Right.
And my face,
I would be less smirky. Yeah, I would be less smirky than Lori was. I'm not judging Karen at all. Oh, here we go. Crap. Got to go back.
Oh, Lori is just Lori.
Here, so I appreciate your patience. Mr. Jackson, could we please have Ms. McKay back in here? Oh.
Another sidebar? What are we doing?
That's all they know how to do. Dude's like, damn, this is going to be a long trial.
He looks a little tired already.
Yeah. You're under a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, you know?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mr. Jackson, go right ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. When last we left off, we were talking a little bit about some of the familial connections that your family has with certain law enforcement agencies. We talked about Boston Police Department, obviously, Brian Albert. We talked a little bit about Massachusetts State Police and knowing friends of friends with regard to Chris and Julie, correct?
Yeah.
Knowing friends of Chris and Julie.
Friends of Chris and Julie.
Is that your relationship?
With who?
I'd asked you about. I'll ask you a different question.
Okay.
A little bit vague. Courtney Proctor is friends with Julie's sister,
Yes.
and obviously Courtney also knows Julie and Chris, correct?
Sustained.
And there's also a connection to Canton Police Department through Kevin Albert. Is that right?
Yeah.
Can you answer that? Is there a connection? Do you have a connection with the Canton Police Department through Kevin Albert?
Not with the police department, but Kevin Albert is Brian Albert's brother.
Right. And Kevin works for whom?
The Canton Police.
Thank you. So you've been interviewed many times by different law enforcement agencies, be they Massachusetts State Police, Canton Police, or otherwise, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Those interviews have not just been over the period of weeks, it's been over the period of weeks and months and even years since this occurred, correct?
Yes.
You were contacted by another law enforcement agency that was not Massachusetts State Police and not Canton Police Department at one point in April of 2023. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I want to talk for a second about that series of interview or that interview. You were contacted at your residence by these members of this law enforcement agency, correct?
Yes.
All right. Later that same day, you did sit down with those same law enforcement officers for a formal interview.
On that.
On that same day that you were contacted by them, they also went into your home and actually interviewed you, correct?
Yes, it was brief.
All right. Those law enforcement officers identified themselves as being associated with an agency that is not Massachusetts State Police. You understood that?
Yes.
And you understood that they were not involved with Canton Police Department either, correct?
Correct.
Completely separate agency, is that right?
Yes.
During the course of that interview, those officers informed you very specifically, Ms. McCabe, that it is a crime to lie to them, even during an interview, correct?
Yes.
Those law enforcement officers informed you that they were investigating certain circumstances attendant to John O'Keefe's death, correct?
They were very vague on what they were.
Understood.
I don't know what they were investigating.
But you did understand that it was having something to do with your involvement at 34 Fairview on January 28th, 29th, 2022. As a witness or otherwise? Objection.
Sustained as to certain terminologies.
Sure. Let me see if I can rephrase that, Ms. McCabe. You were aware of the subject matter of their interview, right? They weren't interviewing about a car you bought last year, correct?
Correct.
They were interviewing you basically about what you're testifying to here, correct?
When I first spoke with them, the conversation was pretty vague.
But the subject matter, vague or specific, was about this subject matter.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Not good.
They first contacted you telephonically, called you on the phone. Is that right?
Actually, they walked up to my car.
They walked up to your car?
Yes.
Okay, that was the very first introduction, correct?
Yes.
At that point, they had not identified themselves, correct?
They didn't know.
All right, and at that point, you told them that you were not Jennifer McCabe. They asked you who you were, and you said, I'm Nicole.
I thought they were like selling something, so I was like, oh no, I'm not the homeowner.
Fair enough, fair enough. However, after you said, I'm not Jennifer McCabe, you walked into the house, they then called you on the phone.
Yes,
They were still sitting outside your house.
I don't know where they were, but they did call me.
They were close by.
I'm not aware.
Well, the call came almost immediately after you walked back in the house, correct?
I'm not sure how much time had passed.
Give me an idea. It wasn't an hour. It was
No, it was
5 to
soon
10
after. I'm just not sure. I can't tell you where they were located. I'm sorry.
Okay. They told you that they would, at that point, they identified themselves as being law enforcement agents, correct?
When they called me, yes.
And they told you at that time that they were not with Canton Police. You knew at least they were not with Canton Police Department. They were not troopers with Massachusetts State Police, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And they told you that they would like to have an interview with you. They'd like to have a sit-down talk with you, correct?
Yes.
You told them that you would be willing to submit to an interview, but you needed about 10 minutes to get ready, correct?
Yes.
You ultimately did allow them into your home, and you did sit down for a formal interview with them, correct?
Yes, brief, but yes.
And it was during that formal interview inside the home that it was explained to you that it would be a crime for you to lie to them on any material issue, correct?
Yes.
During the course of your interview, your husband, Matt McCabe, came home. Is that right?
Yes.
As these law enforcement agents continue to question you, as law enforcement officers continue to question you at some point, you inform them that you did not feel comfortable with any further questioning and you suspended the interview, correct?
Yes.
Before leaving, however, those same law enforcement officers asked you if you had contacted anyone in those 10 minutes when you indicated, I need 10 minutes to get ready, between the time they called you and the time that they showed up and came inside your house, correct?
Yes.
You told them that you had contacted your husband, Matt McCabe.
Yes.
Which is why he came home, right?
Yes.
And you told them that you had called Carrie Roberts before they interviewed you, correct? At that moment.
I'm not 100% sure, but if you have it, it seems like something I would do, but if you have it, could show me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's show her. Holy shit, the feds are at my door. What do I do?
I may have just a moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
Wow. It's not good when the feds show up at your door. Yeah, Rachel, he's got to be careful.
Yes.
First, I'm going to ask you, Ms. McCabe, if you recognize that as being a report of that interview, just general. Yes or no?
It appears to be, yes.
May I approach the witness stand and stand by the witness stand for a couple of questions?
Yes.
I can have that.
Sure.
I want to direct your attention, if I may, and for court and counsel, page 3 of 4, starting with the second to the last full paragraph, going into page 5, top full. I'm sorry, page 4, top full paragraph.
Okay.
You could review those 2 paragraphs, read them to yourself, and then look up and let me know when you're finished.
Is it taking that long to look at a call log? They should have highlighted it. Highlighters are not expensive. Well, they can be, but I need new ones. Yes, Joy, it almost looked like they were able to place that man inside that house with them 82 feet, 72 feet from the, yeah, all that. Sounds like he walked right up in that front door, doesn't it?
Yes.
Thank you.
If we can trust cell phone data.
Thank you, Ms. McCabe.
Yes.
Whose do I trust?
Did reviewing those paragraphs refresh your recollection as to whether or not, as to what you told those agents initially? I'm sorry, what you told those officers initially from that other law enforcement agency, that about who you contacted in that 10-minute interval?
Yes, I told them.
And you told them that you had contacted your husband, Matt McCabe,
Yes,
and Carrie Roberts.
correct.
I want to stick with that for just a quick second. One of the first calls you made after being contacted by these other law enforcement officers from a different agency, one of the first calls you made was to Carrie Roberts. Is that right?
She was the first one.
That's what I'm asking. One of the first two calls you made, your husband,
Right.
come home, there's law enforcement outside my door, I'm guessing is what you said, correct?
I don't remember my exact words now, but I did ask him to come home, correct?
And
Yes.
Carrie Roberts.
Okay, yes,
You wanted to let Ms. Roberts know that you had been contacted by certain officers from a different agency, correct?
I was curious if they had already been to her.
That was
Because-
my next
Oh,
question.
yeah.
You also wanted to find out had these law enforcement officers from this different agency contacted her, correct?
Yes, because typically if
I
you
just
enter
asked yes or no.
uptown, she's,
Ms. McCabe, yes or no?
oh, sorry, I was just trying to
That's okay.
explain. I'm sorry.
Is that why you contacted her, to find out if in fact they had contacted her before you? Yes or no?
Yes,
And you also wanted to find out what she told them, if she had been contacted by them, correct? That was your motive in calling her.
no.
So you just wanted to find out, had she been contacted? But if
Yes.
she had said yes, you weren't going to say, and what the hell did they say? What'd they ask you?
Well, I can't say what I would have answered, what I would have asked her, but I know I was calling to see if they had been there. Yes,
That was
correct.
your intent.
I called to ask her if they had been there. Yes.
So that was your intent, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Your motive in calling Carrie Roberts at that moment before your interview was to ensure that your story would line up with her story, Ms. McCabe. Isn't that right?
No, that is not.
You wanted to find out if she had talked to these particular law enforcement officers and what she had told them, so that your story could somehow align, or it could inform how you responded to questions that they asked you. Isn't that true?
That's not true. We both know what happened. We don't have to have a story. There is no story. There's what happened, and that's it.
So if that's true, Ms. McCabe,
Mhm.
you have no reason to call Carrie and ask her if she had been contacted by these law enforcement agents, because it's just the truth, correct?
We're going through this whole experience together. We call each other about everything.
There would
That's
be no
nothing
reason.
more than that.
So
I'm
let her-
sorry.
Let her finish her answer. Go ahead, Ms. McCabe, you can finish that.
There's nothing more than me calling and saying, hey, did they come to your house? That's what we did when the media showed up, when Miss Reed's private investigator showed up. We just give each other the heads up. Hey, somebody's coming. Because we're just
Heads
like
up.
normal moms. We're not used to this.
And that's helpful in making sure that the stories she tells are consistent with the stories you tell to different law enforcement agencies, correct?
No, we are not telling stories.
So let her finish. You said no what?
I said, no, we're not telling stories. We don't have to compare.
And if in fact what you were telling is just the truth, there'd be no reason for you to inquire about who's contacted her when.
There's no inquiring. It's like when when the ice cream truck was at the street next door and I'm saying, did the ice cream truck come? It's really that simple.
So you asked a question, an argumentative question, and she responded in kind. Next question. Mr.
Thank you.
Jackson.
She responded in kind. Okay, then.
You also testified in your direct examination, staying with Ms. Roberts for just a second, about a timeline that you and Ms. Roberts put together, correct?
Yes.
That's another example of the two of you talking about your own perceptions and comparing and contrasting those perceptions and putting it down on paper, correct?
No,
Is that yes or no?
it's a no. Can I explain or no?
I'm sure Mr. Brennan will have follow-up questions. After you gave that answer to those law enforcement officers at that separate law enforcement agency. They asked you, was there anyone else that you contacted in that 10-minute period before we got a chance to talk to you? And your answer was no, correct?
Correct.
And that was a lie, correct?
It wasn't a lie, no.
Was it true? Was it the truth or a lie?
It wasn't a lie.
Okay, so it was the truth. You had not spoken to any other person between the time they contacted you telephonically and you said, I need 10 minutes, and then they came in the door. During that arc of time, you didn't talk to anybody else or contact anybody else other than Matt McCabe, Kerry Roberts. Now you're testifying that was a true statement.
I can't answer that yes or no.
It's pretty binary. Had you talked, well, let me ask you this. In point of fact, you did talk to other people. You contacted others in addition to Matt McCabe and Kerry Roberts, correct? Yes or no?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so when you said no to the answer, did you contact anyone other than Matt and Kerry? That would be, by definition, Ms. McCabe, a lie, correct?
No.
It's not a lie? Is there some shade of lie that I'm not aware of?
It's the way you're asking the question. If I could explain,
let me ask it
will make more sense to you.
The agents asked you, I'm going to go over this one more time, then I'm going to move on. The agents asked you, in fact, did you contact anyone between the time we called you and set up the interview and the 10 minutes before we walked in the door? They asked you that question, correct?
The objection sustained. Watch the choice of language.
I'm sorry. I meant the law enforcement agency. That law enforcement agency, the members of that law enforcement agency contacted you. Sorry. They asked you who you had contacted between the time they first telephoned you and walked in the door 10 minutes later, right?
Correct.
Okay. Data point number one. Data point number two, you told them Matt and Kerry, correct?
Correct.
You had actually contacted, they then asked you, did you contact anyone else other than Matt and Kerry, correct?
Correct.
And you said no. Is that correct?
At that moment, I said no, yes.
Correct. At any moment.
No, at that moment, because they had just come in my house.
I asked you,
Only one person can talk at a time.
you said the word no,
She
correct?
was finishing her answer.
No, you don't get an
I had said
explanation.
no, because I was in a situation where there are two officers from a different agent had come in, were asking me questions, or they had said, can I come in and ask you questions? At first, I thought they were selling something. Then they identified themselves. I just dropped my kids off at school. Going to be completely honest, I hadn't brushed my teeth.
Brushing your teeth keeps you from lying?
So next question.
Thank you. Ms. McCabe, after you said no, that you hadn't contacted anybody else, those two law enforcement officers from that separate agency who had told you it was a crime to lie to them, they left, correct?
Yes.
Subsequent to that, Mr. McCabe, your husband, objection.
Sustained.
They left you their card so you could call them if need be, correct?
Yes, they did.
And you, in fact, did call them back, correct?
Yes, I did.
Without telling me the content of the conversation you had, did you have a conversation with Mr. McCabe? Objection.
Sustained.
Did you call them back and say, I'm calling you back because my husband told me that I lied to you and I better clear that lie up?
So sustained. Jurors, remember I told you before that only answers to questions are evidence? Be mindful of that. Next, yes.
Can't unhear it, Bev. Wow.
So
Let me see what
you have to be able to brush your teeth to not tell lies to the
So
feds.
that's the secret. Yes, that is apparently the secret. If you just brush your teeth, guys, you are no longer capable of lying. Yeah. Yeah. Why does she get to get an explanation when they weren't allowing other witnesses to elaborate, right? Except for prosecution witnesses. Did they send smoke signals, right? They're out there doing something to get a hold of one another. Hey, they're coming. I just need 10 minutes. I'm going to call my buddies and make sure we're all in line here. Yeah, the heads up part. Yep. So I'm just now scrolling back through chat. There seems to be a lot of, because of the fact they all are intertwined and all communicating with each other, that's in itself is the sketchy. And what's this about her husband saying, well, you lied to them? You need to clear that up. This is the fucking feds. Effing feds, sorry.
She has a lot of yabbits. Yeah, I did answer that, but yeah, but.
Yeah, but can I just explain? Can I just explain my reaction or my reason, thought process? Why don't you just explain, ma'am? It's that simple. Go right ahead.
Yeah, but you're making it sound like my lie was actually a lie when I have an explanation that may sound like maybe it's not a lie.
Right. They don't want the details. They just want that yes or no. Answer me. Yeah, this stupid share link referral thingy's in my way, and I can't see a comment until another one pops up, and then it moves the other one up. Okay. Sorry, I was laughing at Firefly's comment. She's hijacking AJ's cross exam. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Your Honor. You ultimately called these officers back, correct?
Yes.
And you explained to them that you had been untruthful with them, correct?
I explained that I had forgotten to mention a couple of people that I had reached out to.
You had forgotten. Is that your testimony?
Sorry, I'm going to mute.
You had forgotten. You remembered Matt and you remembered Carrie, but you had forgotten the others that you had just contacted maybe 30 minutes before.
Yes.
There were 5 people that you contacted, weren't there?
I contacted Matt.
Let's go through them.
Yeah.
Yes, no. You know them?
I know 4 off the top of my head.
Okay, let's go through them.
Okay.
You contacted your husband, correct?
Yes.
You contacted Carrie Roberts, correct?
Yes.
You contacted Peggy O'Keefe, correct?
Yes.
Then, Ms. McCabe, you contacted the district attorney's office, correct?
My witness advocate.
The district attorney's office.
My witness advocate who works for the district attorney's office.
Thank you, Ms. McCabe.
Yes.
And you also left out that you contacted Brian Albert himself, correct?
Yes, my brother-in-law.
For some reason, your brother-in-law, who's the 30-year Boston police detective, correct?
Yes.
And on whose lawn John O'Keefe was found dead or dying. Objection.
I'll allow that.
Correct?
Yes.
I was about to say.
For some reason, you did not want these officers to know that you had communicated specifically with Brian Albert, the homeowner, just before you talked to them, correct?
No, incorrect.
There was some reason that was important enough for you to lie about that, even though you had been admonished that it's a crime to lie about that to those officers, correct?
Incorrect. I didn't lie to them. I had forgotten who I had called.
And all of a sudden you had an epiphany right after they walked out the door?
Yes. Matt said, who have you spoken to?
Objection.
I'm going to allow it. It's out. You're
Holy
not going further.
shit. Oh, this is the jury buying this. That's what I want to
Ms.
know.
McCabe, I want to draw your attention to
Bev just allowed something.
January
I'll take
28th.
note.
You had gone out drinking with your family at the Waterfall Bar and Grill, correct?
I went with my husband and met my sister, yes.
And met the other family, correct? The other family members, meaning
My niece.
Matt McCabe, Nicole, Chris, Julie, Caitlin, correct?
Yes,
And I think you mentioned
Whole
Tristan was
gang.
there as well.
yes,
You were later joined by Nick and Karina Kolakithis, is that right?
yes,
Ultimately, Brian Higgins showed up
yes,
and Brian Albert showed up.
yes.
You previously indicated that Caitlin's boyfriend, Tristan, left early for whatever reason. He had errands to run or had to get to bed early for some reason, is that right?
He left before us, yes.
So he didn't stay through the shank of the evening.
Through the what?
The shank of the evening, through the course of the evening.
Oh, okay.
She's like,
Mhm.
what?
Is that right?
Yes,
Okay. And ultimately, at the waterfall, John O'Keefe and Miss Reed showed up as well.
yes.
You didn't see any tension at all between John O'Keefe and Karen that night, did you?
No, I didn't.
They appeared to be getting along,
Yes, yes,
sort of a normal couple having a nice evening out together.
yes.
Neither John nor Karen Reed appeared drunk or inebriated, out of sorts.
No, I wouldn't categorize them as drunk or inebriated.
And not.
But again, I don't know what the definition of drunk is.
Well, that's
Well, you
fair,
said
and
she
I'm
was
not
drunk
asking
the next
for their
morning.
BAC, but they didn't appear to be stumbling around, falling all over themselves and sloppy drunk, correct?
No.
Out of control, nothing like that?
No.
Okay. You did see Brian Higgins and Brian Albert at a high top table sort of together through the course of that evening, correct?
We were all kind of around like a long high top table.
And John O'Keefe, and as you look at I'm going to use the perspective of the video that we've seen, that camera angle that we've seen. John O'Keefe and Miss Reed were sort of further off in the corner, closer to the bar rather than to the tables, correct? Along with the Kolakithises and those, and you, as a matter of fact.
Yes, at different times, everyone was kind of moving around. I spent the majority of the time that Karen and John were there speaking with Karen.
And that was sort of over toward the bar.
We weren't in the bar, we were at the table. So it was one side of the table and the other. It wasn't like far away.
Right.
Kind of, yeah.
I'm using the bar sort of as a landmark for nothing. I didn't mean you were sidled up to the bar, but just sort of as a landmark. You were closer to the bar than, for instance, in the foreground, which would be the high top tables in the foreground, correct?
We were just on the other, I'm confused about this. We were just on the other side of the table.
Okay. You did see on the opposite side of that high top table, that's where Brian Albert and Brian Higgins were standing, talking and communicating with each other. Is that right?
I believe so. I was talking to Miss Reed. I wasn't really paying attention to them.
Did you ever see those two men get physical with one another that night?
I did not that night.
We
I
did.
did not see that.
Have you ever seen a
Oh, that
full
first night.
review in all the hours that you've sort of prepped for your testimony? Have you been shown that waterfall video from the time you got there until the time you left?
Not the full video, but I have seen a good portion of it, yes.
Okay, and you've certainly seen the portion where Brian Albert and Brian Higgins get up from the table and sort of get physical with one another, correct?
I would say more like play fighting, and Nick Kolakidis was a little bit like doing it with them as well.
Okay, so the physical part is, all I'm asking is, did they touch each other? Yes.
I guess, yeah.
And you described it as play fighting, correct?
I don't, if we could watch the video, it might explain it better than I could.
We probably will.
Oh, okay.
But right now, I'm just asking about your memory. You remember them squaring off on one another, playing, but squaring off on one another,
I
correct?
don't remember them squaring off. Like I said, I just watched the video. I don't remember it from that night, and I didn't really pay attention. It looked like foolish, like guys just, I don't even know how to describe it.
From your perspective, having watched the video, it appeared that they squared off on each other and sort of took a fighting stance.
I didn't look at it that in depth, so I could not say that.
Did you see them walk up to each other and grapple with one another? Like they nobody's punching each other.
Right.
I get that.
Mhm.
When they grapple with one another, like faking punches to each other,
I don't know.
almost like sparring a little bit.
I don't honestly know.
But you did see.
I saw them together. It's blurry and they're I don't know really what they're doing.
Okay, but they weren't standing there holding hands. Right?
Oh, God, no. No.
They weren't on their phones, right?
We
They
saw
were
it, lady.
engaging with each other, playfully, grabbing at each other. I don't really.
Playfully grabbing at each other, play fighting, correct? That's my point.
I'd have to watch the video to categorize it as play fighting.
You don't have that in your head?
I didn't know. It was a quick clip. I wasn't like focusing on Brian and Brian. I was just identifying that was myself in the video, and there was Miss Reed. And I believe Miss Reed actually did some play fighting to Matt.
There was, in fact, to Matt.
Yeah, I feel like she was
did.
like this to Matt at one point. Yeah,
I saw it.
in the video.
So let's talk about Brian and Brian. Brian Higgins and Brian Albert.
Mm-hmm.
Those two men, very large in stature, correct?
They're big guys, yeah.
Big
But
ones.
so,
A lot bigger than me, right?
Yeah.
They took a fighting stance with each other and started grappling, playing, coming toward each other as if they were engaging in a fake physical altercation, correct?
I did not see that. I'm sorry.
Okay. You didn't even see it on the video.
I saw them on the video grabbing at each other. I didn't see stances but again, I didn't pay much attention to it.
And that's your best memory as you sit here today?
Yes.
Okay. Eventually, your husband, Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, Nicole, Caitlin, everybody went over to 34 Fairview at the end of the night, correct?
Yes.
The bar closed at, I'm guessing, midnight.
Okay.
Is that right?
I think we were wrapping up around then. I don't know what time it actually closes.
When you left Waterfall, the people that were still there included Matt, your husband, and John O'Keefe. Is that right?
Yes.
You walked out with Karina Kolakifis and Karen Reed.
Yes.
And you said to Miss Reed something along the lines of, "You're coming with me," correct?
I said, "Why don't you come with me?"
Okay, fair enough. You were prompting her to join you for the ride over to 34 Fairview. Is that right?
Yes.
You even went outside and sort of waited in the cold. There's a video. Have you seen the video of you outside? The surveillance video of you outside in the cold?
Yes.
And you're sort of waiting there, moving from foot to foot like it's freezing out, which I'm sure it was, correct?
Yes.
In a big puffy coat of some kind, right?
So the question was, I moving foot to foot in a coat? Yes.
My question is more, did you see yourself waiting outside the cold?
I saw myself convert. I believe I was in a conversation at that point when I was standing out there with John and Karen.
And that's when you were asking Karen to come with you?
No, I had asked Karen previously when we were at the door to come with me because I didn't know how long Matt and John were going to be in the bar because they were in there still.
And that would have, by definition, brought Karen to 34 Fairview separate and apart from John O'Keefe if Karen had come with you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Miss Reed ultimately declined your invitation and did go with John. Is that right?
John ended up coming to the door, so they just went together. Yes.
And finally, you walked away and went with your husband, Matt, over to 34 Fairview in your personal vehicle, correct?
Yes.
When you arrived at 34 Fairview, were you the first among the group that we've just talked about to arrive, or had others arrived before you?
Others had arrived before me.
When you walked in to 34 Fairview, where was everybody generally located? Give me a layout of the interior of the home, how you walked in and where everybody was located, the people that were there when you walked in from the waterfall.
So I walked in through the front door. I took a right into the kitchen. And then there were people sitting around the kitchen table, Brian Albert Jr., Julie Nagel, Sarah Levinson, Caitlin Albert. My sister was over more towards like the counters in the sink, and Brian Albert and Brian Higgins were, there's like a room right off of the kitchen, like a TV room, and they were in there just talking. I think Nicole had like put up some new pictures, so, or maybe the Sun and the Marines, they might've been looking at a picture. Vaguely have a faint memory of that.
You indicated that you walked in the front door, correct?
Yes.
May I approach briefly?
Yes.
Yeah, this is your, yeah, I'll take care of that. Can you just take a look at that photograph just for a second?
Yes,
Do you recognize that photograph?
yes.
What do you recognize that photograph as being?
It's my sister's house.
34 Fairview?
Yes, sorry, 34 Fairview.
Brian Albert's house as well.
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to mark this as marked for identification. There's a
Identification's fine.
thank you. If I may. What would be the next in order?
Exhibit F for identification.
Thank you. Go ahead, just a moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
What exhibit number is that, Mr. Wolf? 3. Your Honor, with court's permission, I'm going to show a different exhibit until the other issue can be resolved. With the court's permission, it's Commonwealth Exhibit 3. Permission to publish?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf, could you highlight or enlarge the house as much as you can? Thank you. Ms. McCabe, do you recognize what's depicted in this photo? I know it's a little bit of an angle.
Yes,
What is that?
that is 34 Fairview.
Okay. Can you, I think this laser will work. May I approach?
Yes.
Can you use that laser and point to the front door that you entered when you walked in the house? Okay, that's directly in the middle of the just to the left of the flagpole for this purposes of this photograph, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is there another entry door on the house that you may not be able to see, but you know the general area?
Yes.
Where's that door?
So that would be, see where these two windows are?
Yes.
The door would be kind of behind that right there. So it's right to the left of those two windows.
And Ms. McCabe, just staying with doors for a second, is there another door associated with the garage?
Oh, actually, yeah, there is. Right there.
Right there next to that side door?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. You didn't go in the side door, you went in the front door that night.
Yes.
You indicated that once inside the house, you were sort of in the kitchen area. Is that right?
I was in the kitchen, yes.
You weren't paying special attention to Brian Albert or Brian Higgins, what they were doing. As a matter of fact, I think they went into a different room. Is that right?
There's a room, kind of the kitchen opens up into the TV room. So they were in there.
So the only two that you recognized at this point in the night, not being sort of with everybody else, were Brian Albert and Brian Higgins, separated out in the family room or whatever that room's called, living room.
Yeah, I feel like just right there, right where they are, just
Okay.
kind of right in the next room.
When you first pulled up, did you notice any vehicles in front of Brian Albert's house?
Yes, I did.
What vehicles did you notice? Vehicle or vehicles did you
Just
notice?
one.
What was that vehicle?
It was a Jeep.
Can you describe the Jeep for us, please?
I really can't. All I can say is that when I pulled down, the Jeep was on the parked on the street in front of the mailbox, and I turned into the driveway.
Okay. Did the Jeep have any special features on it that you remember, that you
No.
can describe?
Not that I can recall.
Big giant snowplow on the front?
Again, it was dark. I didn't really pay much detail to it beyond I just asked, whose Jeep is that?
And did you learn whose Jeep that was?
I did, yes.
Whose Jeep was it?
It was Brian Higgins' Jeep.
And you said that it was parked in front of the mailbox, is that right?
Yes,
So as you're looking at the house, the mailbox would be closest to the driveway, is that right?
yes,
Rather than, for instance, the flagpole on the other side of the lawn.
correct. So if the flagpole's here, there's the lawn, and then here's the drive. I mean, here's the mailbox, and then the driveway's over here.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does to me.
Okay.
Thank you for that. You've previously indicated that the back edge of of that vehicle, Brian Higgins' Jeep, was at the side, basically, of the driveway, which is what you've just described. It would be blocking the mailbox, the rear end associated with the driveway entrance, correct?
Yes.
Have you ever discussed having seen that Jeep in that spot with anybody else in this case?
Is that including previous testimony or?
It is. And at any time, before you testified at the previous hearing, had you discussed having seen that Jeep in that spot with anybody else? For instance, your husband?
Objection.
Was there any other car on that curb line, if you will, other than the Jeep when you pulled in?
Not that I remember.
And Brian Higgins, if it's his Jeep, he's in the house, that Jeep's not moving, correct? So it stayed where it was.
Yes.
At some point, did you observe Miss Reed's vehicle pull up to the driveway? I'm sorry, pull up to the house.
I was told there was a vehicle outside, so I went and looked.
Where
Yes.
was that vehicle? When you looked that first time, where was Miss Reed's SUV?
When I went to the front door and looked out, it was straight ahead.
So that would be parallel, actually in line with the Jeep, correct?
Yes.
Directly in front of the Jeep.
I don't know the distance, but yes, you're correct. It was in front of the Jeep.
So if the Jeep was a normal, it's a full-size Jeep, correct?
I don't know what size it is.
Certainly the SUV is a full-size SUV.
Yes.
All right. So that would take up much of the room of the curb area in front of 34 Fairview, between the Jeep, assuming there's a snowplow,
Right.
and a full-size SUV, correct?
I'm not really sure of the whole area, but there was the Jeep and then there was the car. I just don't know the distance between them.
You gave a description of the vehicles that were out in front of 34 Fairview in your January 29, 2022 interview with Trooper Proctor, correct?
He came to my house and asked me questions, correct?
When you gave that interview to Trooper Proctor, you indicated to him that you first observed Miss Reed's vehicle parked on the street by the driveway, correct?
I never said by the driveway, no.
So if that's in a report, Trooper Proctor got that fact wrong, got that detail wrong.
Sustained.
If in fact, well, let me ask it this way. What did you say to Trooper Proctor about where that vehicle was?
Miss Reed's vehicle?
Correct.
I told him it was straight out front, the window. The straight out front of the front door. Sorry.
Trooper Proctor wrote a report about his interview with you, correct?
Correct.
You've seen that report in other hearings, is that right?
Yes.
Your interview with him was on January 29th. Do you remember the date? I'm sorry, I just said the date. Do you remember the time? My mistake.
I don't remember the exact time. I'm assuming afternoon, like after 12, or I'm not 100%. Sorry.
You had been contacted by Trooper Proctor while you were still at 34 Fairview, is that right?
Yes.
Ultimately, instead of coming from the Canton Police Department to 34 Fairview, you went home to your house.
I did.
To
Yes.
the Country Lane address.
Yes, I did.
And Trooper Proctor ended up meeting you there, correct?
Yes.
And in addition to you and Matt being there,
hmm
Brian Albert showed up, correct?
I asked him to come.
So you asked your brother-in-law to come to the interview that you were having with Trooper Proctor formally in furtherance of his investigation surrounding the circumstances of this case. Correct?
No.
But Brian Albert did show up at your house.
He did. I asked him to come, yes.
And he was inside the house when Trooper Proctor ultimately interviewed you, correct?
He was in the house, yes.
And you'd spoken to Brian Albert before Trooper Proctor had interviewed you formally, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Matter of fact, several times you had to have spoken to him at 34 Fairview. You've already said that, right?
Oh, right, yeah, we were all there in the kitchen.
And then obviously you spoke to him about the interview before Trooper Proctor got to your house to interview you on the 29th as well, correct?
We were just talking about what happened. It wasn't specifically about Trooper Proctor.
Right, not about Trooper Proctor. You talked to Brian Albert about the circumstances of this case before you spoke with Trooper Proctor.
Yes, I had.
Do you remember exactly what you said to Trooper Proctor about the location of the SUV in front of the house?
I know what I said, yes.
Okay, what exactly did you say to him?
I said the car was straight out front of the front door. When I was looking out the front door, it was straight ahead.
Isn't it true that what you actually said, Ms. McCabe, is that you first observed the vehicle parked on the street by the driveway facing in the direction toward Chapman? Objection.
I'll allow it. Is that what you said?
Those are not my words, no.
Okay, next question.
You've already indicated that following the events of January 28th and 29th, you have spoken extensively with your family and your friends, members of your family and your friend group about what happened that night, correct?
Yes.
And that includes Brian and Nicole Albert, is that right?
Yes.
That includes Matt McCabe, your husband, correct?
Yes.
That includes Chris and Julie Albert?
Yes.
Includes other people that were there that night, including Brian Higgins?
I haven't spoken to Brian Higgins since, I believe, John O'Keefe's wake.
But you did speak to him that morning at 34 Fairview, is that right?
Yeah. Oh, yes, he was there, yes.
As a matter of fact, he's the one that told you to call Officer Lank back and have Officer Lank come back for the additional statement that you wanted to give Officer Lank. Is that right?
He may have suggested it, I'm not sure.
So in those discussions that you've had with all these folks, you've talked to the details about that night being at the bar, the house, who was where, all of those things, correct?
Yes.
You've talked about the timing of the night, who arrived, when people arrived at 34 Fairview, when people arrived at Waterfall Bar and Grill, correct?
No, those really aren't details we discuss. I mean, everybody kind of knows when they came and when they left. We talk more about, living with everything that we've gone through.
Well, what about on the morning of January 29th, when everybody was still in that sort of friends and family gathering inside 34 Fairview?
When I was there with my husband and sister and brother-in-law and, then Brian's friend and Julie Albert, I was trying to piece together what had happened. They were all being supportive. They had no idea what happened. We were just kind of sitting there in utter shock, waiting to hear from Kerry about John. It was nothing more than just us being together and trying to figure out what had happened. I had gotten a phone call from Karen to help her.
And during that conversation, or that series of conversations, you were sharing what your observations of that evening were, what your story was, how the evening started, how it ended for you, correct? Or the morning ended for you, correct?
No, not correct.
During the time that you folks were inside the house discussing this, there was no law enforcement agent or officer inside that house, correct?
Correct.
So the entire family and the friend network that we're talking about, with whom you discussed all these events, everybody was entitled to and did coordinate their statements without any separation and without any law enforcement oversight, correct?
I was with my family, my sister, my brother-in-law. It wasn't really a big group of us. As I've mentioned, I had 5 or 6 people. I was in shock. I didn't know what had happened. They were just asking me what happened.
And
questions like that, and I absolutely told them. But it was no story. There was no us being allowed to do it. That was my family. They were just there with me.
But nobody was separated by law enforcement, correct?
I don't believe there was a reason to separate us.
Nobody. Well, notwithstanding what you think was the reason, you're not a professional investigator, correct?
I'm not,
You're
no,
not a trained investigator.
no,
You're certainly not a homicide detective, correct?
no.
None of you witnesses were ever separated, were you, that morning?
There was no reason to separate us.
I'm not asking you if there was a reason, Mr. McCabe. I'm asking you whether or not factually anybody was separated in that house. Or was everybody allowed to talk amongst themselves?
I was with my family. We didn't need to be allowed.
Okay. I'm trying this again. Was anybody in that house separated? Were the witnesses separated from each other? The family who are witnesses, were they separated from each other? By law enforcement.
At that point, I don't think anyone but myself and Matt were maybe even witnesses.
Okay. I'm not asking you what your determination of who the witnesses are. I'm asking you whether the folks in that house were separated by law enforcement before you were able to have discussions about the events of January 28th and 29th. That's a yes or no question. Were you separated or not?
At one point, when Mike Lank was in the house, he had separated and talked to Nicole, then Brian, then Matt.
And then he promptly left and left everybody in the house together, correct?
He left us, yeah.
Right. Nobody was taken down to the station, is that right?
No,
As a matter of fact, Trooper Proctor didn't even come over to 34 Fairview, the scene of the incident, to interview you, correct?
I asked him to meet at my house because I had to go home to my children.
And he accommodated you, didn't he?
He did, yes.
And he accommodated the fact that Brian Albert escorted you to the house for your interview, correct?
Brian didn't escort me, no.
Well, he went to your house at the same time that Trooper Proctor was there to interview you, correct?
He came at some point, yes, by himself.
Before Trooper Proctor did the interview.
I'm not sure if he was there, if he got there before or when he arrived.
You've testified in the past that
Yes.
Brian Albert came to your house alone. I don't mean you came in the same car,
Yes.
but he followed you over to your house before Trooper Proctor ever got there. And he was in the house while Trooper Proctor conducted his interview, correct?
Yes, Brian was in the house for the interview.
Thank you. You've already indicated that you have been discussing this case with certain other witnesses, not for days or weeks or months, but literally for years, most specifically Carrie Roberts, correct?
The case in general, yes.
Just before Carrie Roberts testified at a grand jury proceeding in this case, you were with her, weren't you?
I don't recall what you're talking about.
Do you remember being at the grand jury?
Yes,
Do you remember testifying at the grand jury?
yes, the one back in
April.
April. Yes, yes,
22?
yes.
That sounds
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah.
You remember being there in an ante room with some other folks?
What's an
An
anteroom?
ante room, a waiting room?
Oh yeah.
Waiting for your testimony?
Yes,
You remember Carrie Roberts being with you in that exact same ante room?
yes,
And that was right before her testimony, correct?
I believe so. Yes,
So in answer to my question,
Mhm.
you two were together literally just before she testified at the grand jury, which was the first formal under oath testimony that she ever gave. Is that right?
Yes.
When she testified at the grand jury, was that before or after you two had gotten together and created this timeline?
We did the timeline right after John had passed.
So she testified, the answer is she testified after the timeline was created, correct?
Yes.
Brian Albert and his family had a dog on January 29th, 2022, did they not?
Yes, they did.
What was that dog's name?
Chloe,
What kind of dog was Chloe?
German Shepherd.
Was it do you know if it was a purebred German Shepherd or a mix of Malinois and German Shepherd, or do you know?
I have no idea.
Big dog,
Yeah, good sized dog. Yeah.
70-pounder.
I don't know its weight.
Wasn't a little munchkin dog, though. It was
No,
a full-size German
It's a
Shepherd.
full size. Yeah.
On the morning that you described going into the house, January 29th, 6:40 a.m. or so, you indicated that you burst into the bedroom to wake your sister and Brian Albert Is that right?
Yes, I went into the bedroom.
It's still dark out, correct?
Yes.
There had been relative chaos on the lawn for a number of minutes, from about 6:10 until at least 6:40. When we went in, there were still emergency vehicles with lights on and engines running. Chaos, relative chaos, bedlam, as somebody has said, on that front lawn, correct?
Was more on their side lawn and down the street, kind of like all the cruises. A lot of them were behind their lot.
Right in front of 34 Fairview, correct?
To the side, in the side yard of 34 Fairview, yes.
And on the lawn of 34 Fairview,
Yes,
where first responders were responding, correct?
yes,
And you said my client was screaming to the top of her lungs, is that right?
yes, she was.
And Carrie Roberts was screaming back at her,
Yes,
shut up or shut the fuck up, right?
yes.
Yeah. Then 6:40 a.m., under the cover of darkness, you walked in the front door of the unlocked front door of Brian Albert's house, correct?
I went into my sister's house, correct.
It wasn't Brian Albert's house?
And Brian Albert, yes, I'm sorry.
You then climbed the stairs up toward the bedrooms, correct?
Yes,
You walked into the bedroom door where Brian Albert and Nicole Albert, according to you, were sleeping. Is that right?
yes,
So you would agree that you unexpectedly, in terms of their view, unexpectedly walked into their house basically in the middle of the night, middle of the morning.
yes,
You indicated that when you went through their bedroom door, you sort of burst through, correct?
I opened the door. I don't know if I used the word burst.
You previously indicated that when you went through the door, it was chaotic because you were so amped up from the events. Is that right?
I don't know if I used those words.
Would you say that you were loud or quiet?
I think as I explained earlier, I was like where everything was going on around me, and I was kind of like in just a state of shock. And I remember thinking, I don't want to startle them, but I have to wake them up, because obviously when I wake them up, they're going to be panicked and think something terrible happened.
Well, why didn't you want to startle them? Something terrible had happened.
I didn't want to give them a heart attack when I woke them up.
But you didn't walk up and just nudge them and say, hey, Nicole, honey, can you wake up? There's something we can talk about. You didn't do that.
No, I was like, Brian, Nicole, wake up, wake up.
Okay, exactly. But you weren't saying it in that voice either. You were saying, Brian, Nicole, get up.
I'm not sure if it was that loud, but I definitely was. You definitely like trying to wake them up. Yes.
What was the dog's reaction?
I don't recall seeing the dog.
So, according to you, to the dog at least, we can get in the mind of a dog, a relative stranger walks in the front door, climbs a set of stairs, the house is completely dark, walks into a bedroom door and starts barking. The person starts barking, get up, wake up, Brian, Nicole. And you don't remember seeing or hearing a dog at all.
Objection. Sustained.
She wouldn't have been a total stranger either.
As you indicated, it's not that the dog wasn't reactive, it's that you don't remember the dog even being there, correct?
I have no memory of the dog, no.
But you do know that that dog sleeps in Brian and Nicole's room, correct?
It may, I don't know for sure.
The reason you don't remember the dog being there is because the dog wasn't there, was it?
Oh, hell.
I don't remember the dog.
Right. So when you walked out of the room, when you walked in the house, didn't see the dog?
No,
When you walked up the stairs, no dog?
no,
Walked down the hallway, no dog?
no,
Walked into Brian and Nicole's bedroom door, no dog?
I don't remember seeing the dog.
I realize that.
Mhm.
Dog or no dog? No dog.
I don't remember seeing the dog. Doesn't mean it wasn't there or it was there. I just don't remember seeing it.
Well, you didn't. no dog came up to you and barked at you, correct?
No.
You didn't see or hear a dog whining or howling, did you?
No.
You didn't hear or see a dog scratching at the door?
No.
There's no sign of a dog at all in Brian and Nicole Albert's house at 6:41 a.m. when you walked into that house, correct? Or 6:40?
I don't remember seeing the dog.
And this was
Wow.
a 70-pound German Shepherd, correct?
I don't know the weight of the
Have you ever
dog.
heard a description given about that dog by Brian Albert, anybody else? That dog was not good with strangers. Did you know, as you said, you're very, very dear friends, and obviously dear friends with Brian Albert, relations with Nicole Albert, your sister. Are you aware that that dog was not good with strangers?
Object.
Do you know that?
I don't. It wasn't good with other dogs is what I knew, so I could never bring my dog over there. That's all I know about the dog.
Right. Had some aggression, correct? At least with other dogs.
Possibly.
Possibly with other dogs. Is the
Yeah.
answer. Next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. If you could remind the jurors, in your memory, who was the last person to leave the house 34 Fairview on the morning of the early morning hours of January 29th?
I believe Caitlin left after us, my niece.
Thank you. At some point, we've already talked a little bit about this. You said you looked out the front door glass. Was it a window or is the whole door glass?
The whole door was glass, I believe.
Is it like and pardon my ignorance, is there like a wooden door that is open and there's a storm door that's all glass that was closed? Is that what we're dealing with?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Mhm. Can we take one more glance? I'm going to back up for a quick second.
Okay.
Can we take one more glance at that exhibit 3, the court's permission?
Okay.
Thank you. And can you enhance that just a little bit, please? Thank you so much. May I approach?
Yes.
I have to ask you, and I apologize, Ms. McKay.
Thank
One
you.
more point of reference.
Mhm.
Can you please show the jurors where Brian and Nicole Albert's bedroom window is in that photograph?
Sure, it's right there.
Upper left window, uppermost left window, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
Go.
Let me get back on track. You indicated that you looked out that storm door and saw Miss Reed's vehicle, her SUV, directly in front of you, correct?
Yes.
That was the first time you noted or clocked that SUV being there?
First time.
The first time you noted the SUV, in other words, that you visually saw it, it was directly in front of you. It was not back by the mailbox, correct?
Correct.
Did you still see the Jeep parked back by the mailbox?
I looked out the window. I saw the car. I really didn't pay attention to details of other cars. I just looked and saw her car.
When you first looked out that window and saw, or looked out the door
Mhm.
and saw the SUV, what time was that?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Does the time 2:23 a.m. sound familiar?
2:23?
I'm sorry, 12:23. My mistake.
I'm not sure.
When you looked out the door, did you see any other vehicles at that time, other than the Jeep, other than Miss Reed's SUV?
I believe I saw lights. Oh, sorry. Lights like over here somewhere. If the Jeep's there and the car, is there.
Okay, can you describe for the record what you did? The theirs don't come across on the record.
Oh,
so
sorry.
to your left
Yes.
is
Straight out would be Miss Reed's vehicle that I looked at.
okay.
I kind of looked at that. I remember my peripheral vision seeing lights over there to the left. Sorry.
All right. So the way that you're describing this, and that's lights to a vehicle, correct?
Yes,
Matter of fact, you know what vehicle that is.
I do, yes.
What vehicle is it? Describe it for the jurors, please.
It's Ryan Nagel's.
Ryan Nagel's what? Car, truck?
I believe he has a truck.
Okay. So what you're describing is you looked out the window, you saw Miss Reed's SUV directly in front of you. Right behind that, in line, was Brian Higgins' Jeep, and behind that was Ryan Nagel's truck. Is that right?
I'm not sure where his truck lines up. I just remember seeing lights. I just quickly saw Miss Reed's car and went back into the room. I wasn't, I apologize, paying attention for like specific details about cars.
At some point, you did become interested in exactly what time Ryan Nagel's truck arrived, correct? This is after the fact, well after the fact, months after the fact.
Yes, I did.
As a matter of fact, you took it upon yourself to ask Julie Nagel, Ryan's sister, to send you something, correct?
Yes, I did.
What did you ask her to send you?
I ran into the two of them.
I didn't ask you who you ran into, just what did you ask her to send you?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. A text message.
A screenshot of a text message.
Yes, a screenshot of a text message between Julie and Ryan Nagel.
You knew at the time that Miss Nagel, very obviously, was a percipient witness in this case, correct?
I believe so. It was very early on.
Well, I mean, she was in the house. Ms.
Yes.
McCabe. She was in the house when Miss Reed's vehicle appeared, correct?
Correct.
She was in the house when you were looking at the vehicle.
Correct.
She was in the house when everybody came home from the 34th Fairview from the Waterfall Bar and Grill, correct?
Correct.
She was interacting with us inside the house at the very time we're talking about, right?
Yes.
She went outside at some point to talk to her brother outside the house, right behind the SUV that you're describing as Miss Reed's SUV, correct?
Yes.
So you knew that she was, and you knew all this when you asked her for that screenshot.
I was trying to piece together.
You
the
knew all
time.
this when you asked for the screenshot. You
Yes.
knew what her position was in this case, correct?
She had no involvement. What happened outside
I didn't ask
is
you if she had
different.
involvement.
Let her finish her answer.
Go ahead.
Ms. McCabe, finish that answer.
I didn't. What happened outside was separate from anything that happened inside.
I'm going to ask you again. You knew all of that information, that Julie Nagel was a percipient witness in this case, as was everyone
what-
else inside 34.
Anything that happened
When you asked
inside.
for that screenshot, correct?
Yes.
That is another example of you coordinating information with other witnesses in this case, correct?
No, that is not correct.
Were you ever advised by Michael Proctor not to coordinate information with other witnesses in the case? Did he ever say, don't do that?
I don't recall.
So you don't recall, or he didn't?
I don't recall if he did or not.
Okay. If he did tell you not to coordinate with other witnesses, this would be a breach of that agreement, wouldn't it?
Objection.
Sustained.
Indeed, once you got that screenshot, we'll talk about that in just a second. When you got the screenshot, did you ever share that with law enforcement?
I'm not sure if I did or not.
You never provided that to Michael Proctor or any other investigator, did you?
I'm not sure if I did or not.
As a matter of fact, Ms. McCabe, the only reason we know about that screenshot is because of the extraction on your phone. Isn't that right?
If that's how you know about it, I'm not sure.
You asked for that screenshot for your own personal use, for your own personal information, for your own personal coordination, correct, of what happened that night.
That's, what are you asking? There's 3 questions there.
Did you ask for that screenshot for your own personal use?
Yes.
And indeed, you do know what time it was that you looked out and saw Ryan Nagel's truck, because the screenshot told you that, correct?
The screenshot told me when Ryan Nagel pulled up. It didn't tell when I saw.
And what was the time when Ryan Nagel indicated that he pulled up?
I'd have to look at the screenshot.
2:23 a.m., 12:23 a.m., sound right?
If you have it and that's what it says, absolutely.
May I approach?
Yes.
sure I did. Mayor,
Okay.
take a look at that transcript, that column. Can you read that to yourself, the highlighted portion to yourself?
I'd like to be heard.
All right, why don't you come to council? Why don't you council come to side?
Okay, did you catch that? Did you catch
So-
that? She said whatever happened inside, whatever happened outside, whatever was said outside had nothing to do with what went on inside.
Exactly.
Well, what lady happened inside with Jonathan?
Mhm.
Sorry. Oh my God,
And
that got me fired up.
someone needs to clear up this parking discrepancy out in that front yard, out on the road. When did Higgins leave this scene? How come I know that Nagel testified he pulled up behind Karen Reed? He couldn't
Yes.
have if there's a Jeep in between them.
Yep.
But he said when he pulled away, he could see her sitting in her SUV. But then again, I don't care if there was a truck in between him or not, the Jeep or not. Nobody saw John O'Keefe laying there, which would mean that Karen, or standing there, which would mean that Karen had already hit him, allegedly, and then just sat there. And they're all coming and going and wandering around, and nobody still sees John, and nobody really cares. And, well, they making a bunch of phone calls, making it look like they do, but nobody's going outside to see why he's not coming inside or answering the phone. He's right outside your house. You see his girlfriend's car and you're wondering why he's not answering your messages, but you don't see him anywhere in sight. So you are to assume at that point he's still in the car having it out with Karen over Bella's mama. When did John get out? When was he hit? How come none of these people saw him? And when did Higgins leave and move that Jeep? Does anybody know what time they claim Higgins left that party that night? Because I got to know that now.
And where did Chloe go? What happened to Chloe?
So fast. Okay, well, let me say this. I had a dog once that I locked myself out of the house and I was pregnant. My mom was with me. The way those old windows were, they rolled out still, and I couldn't fit in the window. So my mom, we're tiny, but I was pregnant. So she's going to go in the window. My dog, with me standing there, would not have it. It was horrible. I had to climb through that window. But my other dog, total opposite. My mom could do whatever. She was very familiar with, both my dogs were, right? Very familiar with my mom. But coming to my room aggressively, in a heat of the moment kind of thing, my dog would have reacted in some way, even if it knew you. Chloe should have known Jen McCabe. Let's just be honest. She was there the fucking night before. It's her sister's house, her sister's dog. The dog knew her. It wasn't a stranger situation. But it's odd that the dog was just nowhere in sight that fast. Was it down in the basement asleep? Did it sleep normally in the living room on a little sofa bed? Did it have a dog bed somewhere? I don't know. Apparently it slept in the room with the homeowners.
Yes, that's what Alan Jackson was insinuating.
Mm-hmm. So you also are a pet owner. Dolphin's a pet owner. We all know how our animals act about us when they hear certain things.
This is going to be lunch break.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
Right.
Getting close.
Take a look at the highlighted portion and tell me if that refreshes your recollection about anything we've been discussing.
Cocktail time in Canton.
Is the page available
I'm sorry,
before this?
just a yes or no, does that refresh your recollection about anything that we've been discussing?
They should show this video, this whole trial in schools to teach against
It's
drinking.
just what we've discussed. It doesn't really refresh.
So it does not refresh her memory. Next question.
I don't think that's what she said.
That's what you?
Yes, that's what I said.
That was her answer.
That does not refresh your recollection?
Objection.
That was her answer. Next question, Mr. Jackson.
Wow.
Well, the jury sees it.
Mayor Roach.
I see it. That's okay.
Thank you.
Take a look
May
at
have had a bigger impact.
and tell me if that refreshes your recollection about anything we were just discussing.
She's going to say nope.
May I?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. McCabe, having seen these, does this refresh your recollection about what we were just discussing concerning that conversation?
Regarding me asking Julie Nagel for the time?
Correct.
Yes, it does.
Okay. And what time did that was attendant to a screenshot that you asked for, correct?
Yes.
And that time was what?
Objection.
Do you remember the time?
Can I look at the paper? I was reading everything. I didn't
So
look at the
the
exact
question is
time.
whether you remember the.
Oh, do I remember it? I don't remember the exact time, but I can read it off the paper. That's different than a memory.
That's different. Next question.
So this does not refresh your recollection as to the time that was reflected on that screenshot.
I can read the time, but
That's
in
not
my
question.
memory.
That's not my question. I have to do it this way, Ms.
Okay,
McCabe. So
sorry.
Does it refresh your recollection as you sit here, having read this, as to the time that was reflected on that screenshot?
I don't, sitting here today, the only reason I know there's a time is because of what's on that paper.
But you did ask for a screenshot from Ms. Nagel, correct?
Yes, I
And that-
did.
And that screenshot said something to the effect of outside. Is that right?
Withdrawn.
Just that question. The screenshot said something about outside.
Is that right?
I believe it said here, yes.
Or maybe it's here.
Yes, something
And
similar. I don't know.
it was a screenshot from Ryan Nagel to Julie Nagel indicating that he had arrived.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. It was a screenshot of a text message from Ryan Nagel to Julie Nagel saying, I've arrived. In other
Yes.
words, I've arrived at 34 Fairview.
Yes, it was.
Because he was intending to give her a ride home, which she had asked for. Is that right?
Objection.
Sustained.
You did see Julie Nagel go outside and approach the vehicle, correct?
I never saw her go near the vehicle. I saw her go outside.
Got it. Did she ultimately come back indoors?
Yes.
Did she come back in with anybody else?
No.
About what time would you estimate that to have been in the course of that evening?
When she came back inside,
When she walked out and then came back inside?
soon after she went out, she talked to her brother. She came back inside.
And about what time of day was that? If you know.
I mean, this was all happening while we were at my sister's house.
Right. Was it 12:15, 12:30, 12:45, 1 o'clock?
Well, according to that paper, it would have had to
That's
been.
not what I'm
Not
asking.
according to the.
Do you have an independent recollection of about, if not down to the minute, about what time that was?
I could say I'd have to be. I wasn't looking at my watch that night, so it's very hard for me to give a time just off of my memory. I know what I've seen, but
Okay.
it's hard.
You did see both Ryan Nagel's truck and Miss Reed's SUV in front of the house at the same time, correct?
I saw his lights in my peripheral vision on the
Right.
left.
But the lights are attached to what?
The car, but it wasn't out front. Miss Reed's vehicle was out front.
Right. When I say in front of 34 Fairview, we're going to talk about the spacing in just a second. I just meant out in front of the house.
Yes, over to the side, correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're indicating that, and I want to be clear about this,
Mhm.
as you're looking out that storm door window,
hmm
going from right to left, it was Miss Reed's vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Then Higgins's Jeep, is that right?
His Jeep was in front of the mailbox.
Then behind that, was there a space? And then Mr. Nagel's truck, or was the truck right behind the Jeep?
That's what I can't tell you. I just remember seeing lights. I didn't look over and pay much attention to it. I was just quickly looking at the Miss Reed's car, and then I went back and sat down.
Do you recall testifying at a prior hearing that it was, your perception was Miss Reed's car, her SUV, the Jeep,
Mhm.
a space, and then Mr. Nagel's truck from right to left?
I remember Mr. Nagel's truck over to the left in my peripheral vision. I can't give you an exact location.
But there's no question in your mind as you sit here that Brian Higgins's Jeep was between Brian Nagel's truck and Miss Reed's SUV. You remember that very clearly, correct?
I know that this Miss Reed's vehicle was here, and there were lights in my peripheral vision over here. I wasn't you know, I just was looking quickly.
So let me ask you the question again.
Okay.
Assuming that the lights are attached to something, Brian Nagel's truck, we've already established that.
Mhm.
What you're looking at, when you look out the storm door window, is Miss Reed's truck,
Mhm.
or SUV rather. So just behind that is to the left, as you're looking at it, Mr. Higgins' Jeep, correct? And behind that, Mr. Nagel's truck. You remember the Jeep being between the truck and the SUV?
And I remember looking out the window. It was dark. I remember seeing lights over to the left.
Good Lord,
That is
answer
what I
the
remember.
question, girl.
Where was the Jeep as it relates to the lights?
I'm assuming the Jeep was still parked at the mailbox.
You saw it there, I mean, it's a 5,000 pound Jeep, right?
It was dark. I wasn't studying outside. It was a quick thing I did. I looked, I saw it, I went back to the table.
Okay, and I'm asking for what the saw it part was. Let's just slow down on the saw it part.
Okay.
You looked, you saw Brian Nagel's truck, then you saw Higgins' Jeep, then you saw Miss Reed's SUV, correct?
I saw Miss Reed's SUV parked straight out front, and in my peripheral vision, I saw lights that, yes, must have been attached to a truck, but I didn't study the lineup of cars. I'm sorry.
All right, so
Can I have one more question?
one more question.
Where was the Jeep? Was it in front of the SUV, behind Mr. Nagel's truck, or was it between the two of them? It's a simple question.
You're asking what I saw when I looked outside. I didn't. And I'm telling you exactly what I saw. It was dark. It was Karen's car there. And in my peripheral vision, I saw lights. And then I went back to the table.
Okay, that's the last question. We're going to break for lunch.
Very well.
All right, juries, we'll take our lunch and recess. And you can pay, you can follow up right behind the jurors. We'll set up here.
No, Jesse. No, Jesse. No, Jesse. No, Jesse.
Cheers right this way.
No, Jesse. Where'd Salty go? Salty, I lost you. Oh my gosh, she just. So did she not ever testify that the Jeep, that Brian Higgins' Jeep was behind Karen Reed's SUV? Did she not testify to that?
I'm assuming that she did because I'd always heard that it was. There was
I know
this Jeep.
somebody did, but I don't know if she did.
I don't know if
I guess-
she did. I just know that. So now we got allegedly. So maybe Firefly can answer that. Because I don't know. I know there was this Jeep outside. I just now realized that was Higgins' Jeep, though. I've always known this Jeep was out there, but I didn't really know whose it was. Like I said, I loosely followed. So I'd always known about the Jeep, and I always knew this other Nagel dude claimed he pulled in, but pulled in behind Karen. And I did see a little clip of his past testimony. And so now I'm like, well, which was it? Which car was actually behind her, and when did Higgins leave the scene that night?
Right.
No one's ever
and
talked. I haven't heard that yet. Any testimony? We hear what everybody's doing and doing and doing. Well, did Higgins crash out there at his buddy Brian's house, or did he take off and go home? What time did Higgins leave? Did he not notice John O'Keefe over there getting covered up in the snow? When he turned on, did he the one that hit him with the snowplow? I heard that happen too.
Well, I'm going to have to go back and check the testimony from trial one, because I also believe that she pulled into the driveway first, and she may have actually let him out, and then and they had like a little argument, like, oh, okay, I'm going to drop you off, and you're going to go in there by yourself, and he's like, yeah, I'll go in there by myself, whatever. And then she goes to pull out, but she stops.
Right.
And that's when she stops in front of the flagpole, and maybe they're still having an argument, maybe he's just like, screw you.
That's
And
what
she's
I'm
like,
saying.
screw you.
Right. It's going back and forth.
Yeah. And then she takes off, but does she take off backwards before she takes off forwards?
Why
And
would
if she does, how does she not hit Higgins' Jeep or the other
Thank
dude's
you.
truck?
Thank you, Joe. First of all, why would she? Okay, that's where they got murder from. Duh. Why did that just dawn on me? Because she went in reverse. Why even go in reverse? Couldn't she have pulled straight forward the entire time and kept going down that road? I saw on that police cam, and I duly noted the way that Carrie Roberts' car was parked, the direction it came from. So you can apparently get in there two different ways, because Karen was parked the opposite direction.
Right.
So I can get into this neighborhood from two different directions. So Karen wouldn't have needed to even back up Even if she wouldn't turn around and go back the way she just came, she just would have done a 3-point turn and gone. She wouldn't have backed up. I don't
And
see a reason.
that's actually what was testified to in the first trial. She did like a K turn, the
Okay,
letter K.
that
Yeah,
makes sense. If
Yep.
she doesn't, if it's easier to go back that direction closer to the house, whatever, I get it. So you would just basically try to turn around, but you wouldn't go back as far as they claim she did. That's intentional. That's where they got their damn intentional hit him. I'm gonna just go mow him down. But you know what? You got a long jump to get me to where she did that, because I'm not seeing it. He could have easily have done that to her if you ask me. I'm not throwing shade at a victim by any means. But if the tables were turned, and that was her in the snow, and I saw those texts he was sending, could I then say, well, he ran her over in cold blood? Yeah, I guess I could. I don't understand how they got there and I'm going to have to take a look at the testimony on, so how did I guess they know from her car's movements, it was a Lexus, it's got the onboard stuff. That's how they know her car backed up at all. All of those things haven't been presented yet at this trial. So I am really wanting to hear that stuff as well, right? Prove to me
Well,
this woman backed up.
that expert testimony in the first trial to me was not clear and precise
Really?
as to what direction and what speed she was going at what time.
Well,
Like I
wow.
remember being confused by it.
Really? Was it coming from like onboard data from her car?
Yeah, like the black box thing.
Uh-huh. Intriguing. And it would come out confusing even to you?
Yes, it was confusing to me. I
Oh, that's not good.
I did not have a clear determination of my opinion after that expert witness.
Oh, shit. Okay, so my Wi-Fi is back up. So I guess if you want a break, I can go live after break. But I'm thinking about going, and before they go back live, maybe go review some of the Nagel testimony. Like I'm gonna be that juror that cheats and watches shit I shouldn't supposed to, but it won't influence me.
Right.
Well, what it will do is show me if he lies this time. Why has it changed? You know what I mean? Because I'm not like a real juror. But
right.
it won't.
And his sister
yeah.
was at the house that night too, right? He was like picking her up.
Yeah, so
Remember
she's
that?
there, right? So she's there, and then she asks him to come pick her up, and it's already cold and snowy. Forget the blizzard's coming, but at that moment, it's still whatever. Come get me, okay? Hey, I'm here. And then quickly she changes her mind and says, "No, I'm good. I got a ride." Didn't Jen already testify to? They offered to give that girl a ride home. Yeah. Now, I might have got that confused with the last testimony because I cheated and watched it too. But yeah. So I couldn't help it. It was on the microdots thing, and I was like, shit, I knew I shouldn't have came to this damn YouTube channel. Rabbit hole I went. Yeah, well, so they sent me down a few rabbit holes that were fun. But I take that stuff with a whole grain of salt, right? But it was fun. But yeah, I'm curious now about this parking situation out front because they also testified already. The data expert dude, Whipple, whatever his name was, whichever one he was, said that Karen didn't park in front of that house the way Jen is seeing. Second time she said that car was straight in line with that front door when she looked at parked. That data guy testified that car did not stop and park until it pulled almost down there to the flagpole area. Beyond it, actually, giving her time to back up and run John over. How convenient. Now I got Jim McCabe twice saying that car was in line with that front door, which contradicts cell phone dude's bullshit. Now, who do I believe? Liar McCabe or cell phone dude?
Or option 3.
Let this girl out of jail today, or she ain't in jail, luckily for her. But why are we here at a second trial?
Yeah.
Right? Like I get double jeopardy didn't apply and all that, but man, something somewhere. Something's
Somebody's got
amiss.
something. Yep. Somebody's got some kind of a vendetta of some kind.
Well, I don't think it was a vendetta as much as, oh my God, we got a dead guy in the house. What are we going to do? We're all in trouble or at least the one that did it's going to be in some serious trouble.
Vendetta, I mean prosecuting her for murder.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant something
No,
else. Sorry.
no. The DA came out and had a press conference, and I'm pretty sure he flat out now lied in his press conference.
Really?
Like in the very beginning, before the first trial, he had a press conference, and somebody pointed out some statement that he made in that was not accurate.
Firefly, is that the video you sent me in Discord? I got it. We'll take a look at it. So,
All right. Let's switch over to your channel then.
let me go get, the Wi-Fi seems to be back up and running fine. It was all acting crazy all morning, but we're good to go. Let me go get set up, and then I'll give you guys go watch the notifications if you're getting them and all that good stuff. It'll give me about 20 minutes or so. Okay.
Let me put your channel up here. Give me a second.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I know everybody in chat's got it.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do so our playlist won't get messed up. If you don't mind, I'm going to drop your morning coverage today into that link or into my playlist, and then I'll do the afternoon one in there.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you for hosting for us. We appreciate it.
All right.
I'll see you soon, guys.
See you soon, guys.
Come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference if we put in the time. Come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference if we put in the time. If we put in the time. Good evening, come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime.